Okay, we're live. I don't know where Kaze is, but Tyler's going to be opting out of some of these sessions for a while. He's not feeling too great.
Okay. Yeah, if he needs to take some time off, that's fine. I think I can get his character out of it with a halfway decent real-world explanation, and if he does come back in, we'll just hand-wave him rejoining with the party.
You mean in-world explanation?
Yeah, what did I say?
Real world.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I meant in-universe setting, obviously. I don't know. I guess it's possible Kaze's gonna be late again. I haven't heard anything from him, so I don't know.
Well, he knew we were playing tonight. I was talking to him last night about it.
And he's showing us offline so I can try to get in contact with him.
Pester him relentlessly.
What did you say?
I said pester him relentlessly. I can't believe Richard's microphone is picking me up. He's all the way across the room.
Hannah, now in stereo.
Alright, so you got the server set up?
Yeah, 3 people were already in it.
Oh. Whoops.
We're all here except for you.
The person who's actually kind of important if they're here.
There we go. Alrighty. So, let's go ahead and get started. Does someone want to do a quick recap of the last session, just so everyone's on the same page?
Hi, Jonathan Pla. Okay, recap of the last session. We left Kysium. We fought a bunch of kobolds, interrogated one, and now I've got a little side quest where we can go meet him and his leader if we want. But we got to Castrum Liberium, and we found out that all of these guards are being punished publicly because they're falling asleep on the job and not doing their duties right, presumably because they're being kept up all night by the nightmares.
Yep.
We also discovered that this isn't normal behavior for the punishment to be handed out publicly like this. And that the leader went off somewhere when the trouble started, and when he came back, he was all funky.
Yep, that sounds about it. So we are now in the, not in the camp proper, in the fort proper, but in the village outside of Castrum Liberium, at a tavern known as the Hellhound's Lodge, where you all have just gotten a meal and rested for the night. And I believe that is where we called the session last night.
Yes, because I had gotten some information from a guy who was willing to chat me up about the dealings and stuff. He's where I got the information about him going out. I think he said east. He
Yes,
went
across
east
the
and then he
river.
went all funky. Yeah.
Alrighty. So, first off, just a quick aside, since some of you did take a little bit of damage in that kobold fight, as ineffective as they were, they managed to at least put a few scratches out. Non-magical healing in Pathfinder, you heal every time you take a full night's rest, a full 8 hours of rest, you heal 1 hit point per hit die. So if you were damaged, if you took lethal damage, you heal 1 hit point of that. If you took non-lethal damage, it heals at a rate of 1 per hour. and you should be perfectly fine from any non-lethal you've taken.
Okay, then I should be at 7 out of 8.
Right.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yep. So you all bed down for the night once you finally are tired enough, and I'm going to ask everyone to go ahead and roll me a will save real quick.
I did it!
I forgot that I had programmed in my will save, so I had to do it by hand. And I did not do it.
There goes my nat 20 for the night.
Yeah, so a natural 20 on a save automatically passes, a natural 1 automatically fails. All right, so Demisha, Ada, you guys have a perfectly fine, restful night. Nothing untoward happens to you while you're sleeping. Lise, as you are in your, of course it happens to the elf who doesn't normally dream, as you are in your trance state, you again have a nightmare, similar-ish to the one you had at the beginning of this whole mess. Give me just a second here. I'm going to make a couple rolls and come back to you.
Okay. So anyway, did you, try texting Gazi or anything, Isaac? What was that?
Great, my mic messed up. I said, I don't have a phone, so no, I didn't try texting. I just tried to ping him on Discord like I normally do.
No, well, if he's offline, he's not gonna get that.
Yeah, because he normally checks it on his phone, so I don't know what's up.
Okay. Lise, during the night while he is trancing, suffers again a very, very similar nightmare. It starts out normal enough for a dream, aside again from the fact that elves typically don't dream. But gradually things begin warping in the background. You notice again a yellowish tinge seeping into various objects. You're in just a nondescript town, much as the one that you're in right now, going about your business, not really thinking much of it. But as this color begins seeping in, you also notice people begin looking more hostile, looking twisted and monstrous in ways, glowing eyes, long claws or fangs jutting out of their mouths. And as you are attempting to, presumably make your way away from some of these creature-type things, you feel your limbs begin becoming heavier and heavier to the point eventually you cannot even lift your leg as they are beginning to surround and swarm you. And then you wake up, possibly somewhat shaken and panicked, but otherwise unharmed.
I'm going to take off my glove and stare at the mark.
The mark doesn't appear to look any different, no stronger or weaker than it was before.
Okay, I'm going to put the glove back on and begin doing my usual routine, taking 20 to scour the entire room, because paranoia.
And again, nothing appears to have come in during the night. The door's still closed and latched. Nothing appears to have been disturbed.
Well, sleeping is not an option, so I'm going to go get some information.
All right. I'll say it's more or less morning when you wake up, anyhow. So the others are going to be starting to get up. Caius has apparently also had some sort of... something has happened to him in his sleep, and when you go to kind of check on the others, like when people are up, you notice that he hasn't awoken. if you go to check on him, you find Iastitsia in the room with him, and Caius is still asleep and unresponsive.
Do you tell the others about this?
I'm debating it, actually. I have to actually roll a will save against myself because greed. If I roll higher than a 15, I am not going to attempt anything. No, I am a greedy motherfucker, and I am eyeing him.
Keep in mind, Iastitsia is in the room, and he looks like Iastitsia is like conscious and just kind of looking over Caius and glances at you when you come in.
Yeah, I had to roll that because it's part of his character. And I'm just going to look at Caius, then Iastitsia, and back out of the room, but while making a note that I have to get Iastitsia out of the room.
All right, so the rest of you all are waking up after apparently a completely normal, restful night for the rest of y'all. So I'm assuming people will start coming downstairs, just see if the others are awake, etc.
Yeah, so Ada wakes up, does her typical morning routine involving praying to Athena, and then I can't find the word I'm reaching for. Polishing her battle axe and shield, and then puts on her armor and comes downstairs.
Lise will be waiting there with breakfast.
I don't
He went
really
ahead and got food for everyone.
I don't really have anything particularly unique that Domitia is doing. She just gets out of bed, puts on her armor, and heads downstairs to wait for everybody else.
Alright. So again, you guys find the others. Lise, do you make any mention of either Caius being apparently catatonic or your experience overnight?
I'm going to mention that Caius is still upstairs being Sleeping Beauty, and I don't think we're going to be rousing him anytime soon.
Oh, did he have a rough night or something?
No, that would be me. I don't know what's wrong with him.
You had a rough night then?
You didn't?
No, not really anything to speak of, no.
I don't dream, so this is rather peculiar.
Nightmares?
Yes.
Well, do you want to talk about it?
No.
I just thought I'd offer.
I will keep my personal business personal, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind, it's just,
Then why did you tell us you had a rough night in the first place?
I'm not thinking too clearly.
Alright. After a minute or so of just kind of this exchange, Iastitsia comes down the stairs with Caius kind of slung over his shoulder, just like a massive sack of potatoes. Just walks downstairs as if, like completely calmly, outwardly, as if nothing is wrong. And in his, normal, very, slow speaking manner, I believe something's the matter. Caius is not waking. He's breathing, but he's not waking.
Oh dear. I'm gonna have Ada roll a heal check to see what she knows about whatever going on. 15.
Okay, well, his breathing seems fairly normal. His heartbeat seems fairly normal. You can open his eyelid, and eyes seem normal, but they just eye snaps closed again when you let it go. He just appears to be in an incredibly deep sleep, and should have been woken up by this point, from being somewhat roughly carried down the stairs and set on a table, but just completely unresponsive.
Well, this doesn't seem normal. Do I know anything about temples in the area where there would be clerics.
Not specifically in this area. Most army camps have a small one, at least. Chances are there's going to be better luck in terms of like proper clerics back in Caesium. Justitia, again, just as Ada's examining him and kind of like doesn't appear to be coming up with anything. Again, just, if there is something particularly wrong, I can bring him back to town and see what can be done. I believe he would have wanted you all to continue looking into these happenings that are going on here.
You sure you'll be alright taking him back, just you?
I believe so.
Ada seems highly concerned and very skeptical.
I'm sure they'll be just fine.
I doubt the kobold would come back on the roads this quickly.
That's true. We did just clear out the roads yesterday. I suppose.
And kobolds are fairly cowardly. It's probably going to take them a while to get up enough courage after that kind of incident.
Ada's still worried, but she doesn't have anything she can do about this situation, so she's going to leave it to Justitia's best judgment.
Alright, and if no one else says anything further, Justitia is just going to gather up Caius and their things and just start walking back.
Ada watches go. They're practically out of sight.
For some reason, I was under the impression that Justitia floated all the time.
Well, I can't see his feet, so...
Yeah, I don't know. He definitely doesn't have like a particular summoner thing that, like a particular evolution on his Eidolon that lets him like fly fully. I think by default he walks, unless you take something to give them another like movement mode, like flying or levitation, etc. So
that's just what I always pictured him doing, because I never heard any mention of his legs or him walking until now.
I mean, he is generally humanoid shape. Psychopomps do look pretty much like, people, just with the mask. So he has legs, and presumably he uses them. All right. So Caius's character Caius is temporarily out of the way. He will be reasonably safe until such time as his player decides that they wish to come back, at which point he will arrive back to the party by whatever means seem most appropriate. Again, you all have managed to gather some information about the goings on here. You've seen some of the odd things that are happening firsthand. With the Legion commander's strange behaviors. But generally the civilians don't really know much other than rumor, something that they heard from someone who says that they talked to one of the soldiers, and, soldiers are notorious for rumor mills anyway. So, there's not a whole lot of information you're going to be able to pick up just, talking to people on the outside. So what is your next move here?
I think it's important that we try and get an audience with the leader of these soldiers. Try and figure out what his deal is.
I agree.
I would definitely put that a higher priority than dealing with our little kobold friend for the moment.
Alrighty, so you guys head to the fort then?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Alrighty, so the town is just kind of haphazard buildings that have sprung up around the Legion fort here. The fort itself is an actual like walled off encampment that juts up next to the riverbanks. the roads in the town lead right up to the gatehouse. So in here in this area, you all should be on the fort map. Is that correct?
I see it, but my token's not there.
Yeah, I'll copy paste you guys over to here in just a second. So yeah, you guys are able to head up to the gatehouse. There are some soldiers that appear to be guarding it, but like they don't bother you as you approach. They just kind of wait expectantly for you to come and tell them what your business there is.
Don't we have one of us has a letter from my grandfather to get in here? Do I presumably have that?
More than likely, unless someone else particularly grabbed it. You all did get at least something with his seal on it, telling you that you guys are official, not just some random group of people poking around.
I'm pretty sure it was Ada who got it.
Alright, so we're outside the gatehouse or inside the gatehouse?
Outside at the moment.
Alright, so I'll go up to the guards and just sort of present the letter with the seal on it and petition entry into the keep.
One of the soldiers steps forward, takes the letter from you, kind of examines it for a moment, looks at the seal that's attached to it, nods, looks to be in order, turns around, raise the gate, and the gate begins to open. It's there's a portcullis on the outer wall here, and a wooden gate on the inside wall. So the portcullis kind of winches up. You all are able to come on through, and then the interior gate swings open as well. I'm going to put some soldier tokens on this map. They don't necessarily represent a single soldier. That's just roughly where some groups of them happen to be.
Got it. Let me move Ada so there's room for everybody. Alright, and looking around, do we get the general idea of where we would find, what's its face? I wrote his name down. Alulius?
Alias, yes.
Alius.
So there's not necessarily a straight up road map, Commander of the Legion this way, but you can ask the soldiers at the gate as you're coming in, where the headquarters are, where the legate would be found. You want to do that?
Ada did not think to do that, so no.
Alright, Demisha will go back and ask the soldiers for directions.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of just knock at the gate, excuse me. You're able to get someone's attention. And you just ask them, where the commander can be found. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the soldier kind of he laughs a little bit, snort, kind of laugh. If you going down past the parade ground, over right, is that big building back there toward the wall next to the shore. It's hard to miss. Good luck getting in there, though. He hadn't let anybody in for a while now.
Alright. Just for curiosity's sake, as we're walking past the training grounds, Ada's gonna look over and see, what types of weapons the soldiers are training with.
Mostly short swords and javelins. They don't seem the most into it. Again, from what you might have seen from any other Imperial soldiers around, just if you've seen other groups on parade or doing drills, etc. These guys look a little bit sloppy, especially for how the fact that this legion is supposed to be one of the more professional ones, and it seems like the officers are having to resort to lashes with the rod a little bit more often than they probably ought to keep the soldiers in line and attempting to, training with their weapons.
All right, noted. Demisha, do you want to lead the way?
Sure, I suppose, since I know the way.
Beast will be staying behind, just scouting for an escape route, because he doesn't like this
Good
place.
luck. It's a keep.
Yes, but he can levitate.
Should we make note of how many archers are on the wall as well, then?
That would probably be a good idea.
Roll me perception for Elise. Or anyone else who wants to check the walls.
That would be a 19.
Alright. So, there are guards along the wall. Possibly fewer than you would expect. They seem to be patrolling some. But you also notice a few groups that are just kind of... they probably ought to be patrolling back and forth, but, they seem to just kind of be clustered in one place together. So, kind of in the region around about on this wall here, you might be able to get a gap over the wall. It's a little bit hard to tell on the northeastern side of the fort since you're not over there unless you want to split off from the party and just kind of walk around and check things out. But you think if you all were quick, you might be able to scale over there and get out of the wall if something did happen.
I know at the very least I could escape and leave the rest of them to their fate.
That is true. That is something you could do. All right, so you all approach. As the soldier said, this is one of the larger buildings, and definitely one of the most ornately built. It is, in fact, hard to miss once you kind of turn the corner around some of the other just small barracks, administrative type structures. And you find the door guarded by a group of soldiers. This time, one of them does step forward as you approach and calls out to you to state your business.
All right, well, Ada is at this point going to take the lead again. And she's going to show the letter that they used to get in the gatehouse and say that we've been sent by Commander Eulos to appraise the situation here with the 14th Legion and request an audience with the commander. Should I roll diplomacy?
No, you don't have to roll diplomacy for this. Excuse me. The soldier takes the letter, looks over the seal, kind of glances at one of the others, passes the letter off to the other soldier. They sort of look at each other, kind of I'm not sure what to do about this situation glance. At which point the initial soldier that you spoke to tells you, "Wait here a moment. I'll see what I can do." He takes the letter, turns around, goes inside, and leaves you with the rest of that group of guards. Several minutes pass, probably 5-10 minutes, with you all just sort of waiting, staring awkwardly at the guards, them staring awkwardly at you. If there's anything you want to try to interact with them, you can. But again, after several minutes, the soldier comes back out, and with him is an elf in full armor and wearing the rank of a senior officer within the Legion. And this time he's the one carrying the letter that Eulos had sent.
Leaf is just going to step back when he sees the elf.
That must be him.
That's a pretty big step.
He is clearing some distance because he's just eyeing this guy.
Am I able to tell if this is Alias or someone else?
Well, I would say you and the others probably know this. Alias is a human, so more than likely it's not him.
All right.
So this elf steps out, kind of gives your group like a bit of a scowling look, looks to the letter, looks to you all again, tells you, I am very sorry, but as we have alerted the general, or as we have told the general, Alias is not seeing visitors as of right now. We have stated repeatedly things are in hand. We are handling the situation on our borders. Our forts are secure, and when
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just stumbling over my words a little bit. When Alice is no longer indisposed, he'll be able to begin seeing people again. Until then, we do not need people coming in to meddle in the affairs of our legion. And he kind of gives Ada a bit of a stern glance and looks at where Lise last disappeared to, especially not dark elves and orc mongrels.
Hang on a second.
Demisha raises her hand and says, "Question.
Yes?
Does helping count as interfering?"
When help is not needed, yes it does.
Ada is going to very, as calmly as she can, which is pretty calm, look the elf in the eyes and say, "What you hold in your hand there is a direct missive from the commanding officer of not only this legion, but the entire region of this border, and I do not believe you have the authority to refuse it."
He looks you in the eyes like, I believe you know as well as I do. Eulos does not command these legions. That is a political position more than anything. He entertains the dignitaries that come here, and his legion commanders are the ones who actually run the show. Alice is asked not to be disturbed. We have repeatedly told him that everything is in order, and we kindly ask that you leave the legate alone and allow him to continue doing his job. Now, if there's nothing else,
Oh wait, I'm not done. I'm not done.
Yes?
I'm gonna go ahead and roll myself an intimidate check for the next one. And here's hoping it goes well. That's a 20. I'm going to say, regardless of the position, on paper, Eulos is the commander of this legion, and to fly directly in the face of his orders will be highly frowned upon, not only by him, but by the Emperor as well, I'm sure.
Well then, you may make your report to whomever you wish, but for now, I have my orders, as do we all. I have been told to let no one into the building. Nobody.
I want to try and determine whether or not this guy is hiding something.
Okay. Also, real quick, Ada, you do notice like a very brief flicker of fear across his eyes, but he seems to compose himself fairly quickly. Yeah, and so Demisha, you can roll sense motive.
So whatever is scaring him into not listening to you is scarier than you.
Yeah. But also,
I got an 11.
Am I sufficiently convinced that everything I've said will be taken to Alias and not just stay with this elf, or?
It's hard to say. It's you don't really know what he intends to do after he lets you guys go. So, Demisha, what's the total on that sense motive?
11.
All right.
I'd also like to attempt a sense motive.
Sure, go for it.
15, so not much better.
All right. It's hard. It's a little bit hard to read him. Hang on.
Still a 15.
Okay. He's a little bit hard to read right now. It doesn't seem that he's necessarily hiding something, but he has been told no one comes in, even like nobody at all. Period. And just it seems he seems like the person he's going to take orders from the people that he respects the most, and he doesn't seem to have a whole lot of respect for the general, as he's basically outright told you all at this point. Again, he just says, like, you may make your report to whomever you wish. I have my orders. I will follow them. Now, I recommend that you all let the matter be before I see if the legate would like to have the lot of you arrested and held until we can convince you that we do not need any assistance, we do not need any help, and everything is well in hand.
Lise is actually going to walk up very casually, acting like nothing is wrong, and very simply pose the question about if everything is okay, why were there kobolds stalking the trade roads?
The elf is kind of glaring daggers at you as you approach. We have heard no reports of kobolds on the roads, and any reports that do reach us, we will address them as soon as resources are available.
Lise pulls out the kobold ears. Please tell me what these are, then.
Disgusting.
Kobold ears. We killed them on the way here.
Do kobolds have ears?
Pretty sure they do.
They at least have horns.
Yeah.
But
we can say horns. I think they technically just kind of have, like, ear holes, not, like, external ears, but whatever, it's fine.
And he just holds them up like, this is proof that we exterminated some kobolds on the way here that had attacked a traveling cart that was delivering supplies to the villages in the surrounding area.
It's proof that you found some pieces of something lizard-looking. We'll take any reports into consideration and deal with them ourselves. Now, if you do not mind, I have a legion to help run, and I am very busy with that. So, good day to you all, and please go away. And he turns to leave.
That report will be made.
Okay,
that report will be made.
Guys, I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with this, particular train track. I think we should go somewhere else. Maybe east of the bridge, or maybe go meet up with that kobold.
I was actually going to try and get his name so we could put it in the report.
The elf bastard.
Yes.
Yeah, hang on just a second.
I'm just going to say that report will be made, and make sure you know that General... I can't remember his name. Alias. Make sure that General Alias knows who it was exactly that sent us away.
Very well. You may tell your general. It is Tribune. I just looked at my NPC list and then completely forgot the name. Hang on. It is Tribune Adamon of the 14th Legion. I am carrying out the orders of my legate, and you may make that report to anyone whom you wish. And he goes back inside, and the soldiers kind of just... The one who brought the letter in kind of gives you a bit of an apologetic shrug, hands the letter back, and goes back to guarding the door. As you all kind of, mill about, like, okay, well, what's our next move? Start heading back out. From around this area, you see a woman dressed in robes who motions for you to follow and kind of steps back around a corner.
Yes. Which way?
Lise is going to follow very slowly because he's keeping an eye out to make sure the guards aren't up to anything fishy.
Yeah, the guards just kind of basically ignore you. You all find a woman, a human woman, seems to be low, just shy of middle age, basically. And her eyes are kind of clouded over with cataracts. It appears that she can't really see very well, although she's getting around pretty easily. As you all follow her around the corner, she kind of motions you into like a little side alley, basically, where you're out of sight of most of the other guards just going about their business, most of the other soldiers, and whispers, quietly whispers kind of quietly to you. I do not believe you're going to get very far trying to see the legate directly. General Euless sent you all?
Yes, he did, in fact.
Good. As things have not been the best here. My name is Skycia. I am the Oracle for the Legion. I was hoping that the General would send somebody to investigate here shortly. I believe I know, at least in a general sense, what is causing the legate to neglect duties, and he has been neglecting his duties here, regardless of what the officers will tell you.
Well, then please share.
She kind of sighs a little bit. You all have. She kind of like starts. You all have heard of the dreams that have been, and kind of stops short and looks at one of your arms. I assume. Are any of you like keeping the mark covered? I know Lise has his gloves.
Ada is not particularly covering it. She doesn't wear gloves. So.
Demisha doesn't have any gloves either.
Okay. So she kind of looks down at Demisha's arm, reaches out a hand, if I may please, kind of takes your hands, looks at it very, very closely again, as if she's almost having to like strain to see it very well, then nods. And it's like, yes, you have, you have heard of the dreams that have been going around and apparently experienced them yourself. I have seen this mark before. It was on an artifact that the legates sought out across the frontier. He heard about this item from a dwarven trader who had come across the river. An item of great power, something that taps into a realm from another world, or taps into power from another realm, rather. He consulted me about potentially seeking it out, and while my visions were not particularly clear, I could tell that nothing but ruin would come from finding it. However, he ignored my advice and set out with a small group of soldiers. I believe I overheard he was going to seek out guides from the dwarf tribes across the river. I do not know whether or not he found this artifact, but whatever he did find and bring, the artifact that he was looking for specifically, rather, but whatever he did find and bring back, it has changed him in some way. The legate took a small company of soldiers with him. He was the only one to return. The rest of the company did not make it back. I do not know what has happened to them. He has shut himself in his headquarters since and has allowed no one other than Senior Tribune to see him. I have my own ears to the ground among the soldiers, among the officers of the Legion, and I believe I have heard of someone, one of the soldiers who did get a glimpse of the legate as he returned. He had a small black gemstone with the symbol of an eye on it. And the way the soldier described it, it matches exactly the symbol I saw in my visions regarding the when Alice consulted me, and it matches exactly the symbol on your hands, and she indicates yours. I do not know exactly what this item is or where it came from, but I believe that it may have been a gateway in some fashion. Alice was seeking it out in order to unlock some source of power from another realm, but I believe it has escaped his control, and he has opened a door that he now cannot close. And that is the source of everything that has been going on here and in the surrounding area since.
Is this a literal
So,
door or a
So
figurative
she
door?
gave us she gave us a rough time frame of when he went and got this artifact. Does this line up with when the nightmares began starting, like even over in Kysium?
It was some before the nightmare started up in Kysium.
I can't hear.
Does it match up with the info I got from the guy about the about his group departing and then coming
can you
back all
guys hear me?
funky?
Yes.
Okay. Can y'all hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay. For whatever reason, I wasn't coming through there. Apparently, I was starting to answer. So yeah, it was some after the or some before rather. Excuse me. The nightmares had started up in Kysium, probably a week or so before.
Okay, to my question.
I muted my mic.
Does it match up with the info I got from the guy about him going off into the frontier and coming back all funky? Do the time frames match up?
Pretty much, yes.
Lise is going to just consider this for a moment. Everything is matching up a little bit more than I would like here. It matches with the information I got at the tavern.
And Demetri, you asked about, this is a literal door or figurative?
Yes.
She kind of... Not a literal one, no. I believe that whatever he found was it is... You could call it a beacon of some description. Something that creatures from this nightmare realm can use to find a way into our world.
So it's more like a portal.
More or less, yes.
Okay, where did you say this was again?
He sought it out in the east, across the river, across the frontier. I do not know exactly where he went. When he chose to ignore my warnings, he no longer kept me in on his plans. But you should be able to find the dwarves who supplied him with a guide, and they will perhaps know with more detail where to go.
What's his name again?
Whose name?
The guy who found this stuff and unleashed the nightmares.
Alias, the Legion commander.
And you say he was across the bridge at one point?
Yes, he. This again. Lise had found out in the tavern that just some citizen had said I saw the Legion commander coming back from across the bridge, across the river, and that's when the weird things happened. And that's what Skysia is saying, that he set off with a small party across the river into the frontier areas, and when he came back, that's when he locked himself in his headquarters and hasn't let anyone see him. That's when the nightmares began, etc.
You know what? I'm betting the reason the Legion commander is shirking his duties and nobody wants us to see him is because he's in a coma.
It's possible.
That actually sounds more probable than I would like, given what has happened with our comrade.
Yeah,
Yeah, as Domisha says that, the anxiety on Ada's face just sort of starts to ramp up, and she's like, we shouldn't have sent Caius off. We need to go find him.
No, it's fine. I don't think
It's not fine.
I don't think we can do anything with Caius or the Legion commander until we find whatever it was they found. I think we should cross the bridge.
Hello, Kaze.
Hello.
Hey, where you been?
I
Dwarves.
was getting Matt.
All right. Well, we're kind of mid conversation right now. We are at the Legion camp. Kind of been rebuffed at the headquarters. They were not able to see the Legion commander. One of the senior officers basically told them that he's not accepting any visitors, period, and told them to go away in not a very polite manner. And you're now speaking with the Legion's Oracle, the Legion's Diviner, and she has told you that she had that Alice had heard of some kind of artifact across the frontier, went out to go get it despite her predictions that it would turn out badly, and that's when all this weird stuff happened when he got back. As you mentioned something about like finding whatever he found, Skycia, the Oracle, speaks up. I believe that whatever he found, it should still be in the headquarters. I have seen no one else bring it back. It should be the item should be a small stone of some description. Just assuming that the few who actually saw him return have it correct. They said that he seemed to be cradling a small fist-sized black stone.
Okay, so I'm gonna guess that we need to retrieve this stone and return it from wherever he got it.
And she kind of sighs a little bit, like not knowing its exact nature. I could not tell you exactly, but that seems like a good place to start at least.
You're leaving out one key detail, getting the stone in the first place.
That I do not know. He does not even let me into the headquarters anymore.
Well, then it
No
looks
one
like,
other than... Good.
It looks like our party's rogue is gonna have his hands full.
Either that or our party's hypnotist is going to get in good with the jerkface at the door.
He's got his eyes on me. He's not letting me through that door.
I didn't say he would let you through.
Oh, you plan on having me pull a couple party tricks again, don't you?
Well, I can try hypnotizing him, but I don't know how well it will work.
I
Even
wouldn't
if
recommend it.
Well, dang it, no. I'm like, oh, we could put him to sleep, but he's an elf. No, we can't. Dang it.
I was actually just about to look that up.
She kind of, Skyzia kind of like glances at you as you're discussing all this. It was Tribune Adamon that you spoke with?
Yes.
I doubt that, especially if he is already seen you all and knows your even magical trickery, unless it is rather powerful, is going to be able to convince him to let you by. But he does not remain in the headquarters at all times. He has his own duties that he attends to as well, and he has his own quarters that he retires to at night.
I have beginning of a plan formulated, but I don't think we should discuss it inside the keep.
That's probably for the best, really, but once we get out, there's no guarantee we can get back in.
Especially
true.
since the elf took our letter.
No, you got it back. She, Skyzia kind of nods, tells you, take your time. I don't blame you for not wanting to discuss this in the middle of the camp. I can make sure that you all will be allowed back into the Legion's camp if you wish to leave, discuss your plans, and come back. If I can offer you any assistance, tell me, and I will do what I can.
Is there somewhere that you probably have personal quarters here too, right? Can you hide us there? Or somewhere else?
I could, but they are a little cramped, and she kind of chuckles a little bit.
That would
Well-
arouse too much suspicion.
True.
That and the
True.
guards at the front gate might get suspicious if they don't see us leave by the end of the day.
It's possible.
Alright, let us return to the tavern whose name I totally remember.
Hellhound.
The Hellhound.
Yes.
She, best of luck to you, and kind of steps back and goes about her business. You all are able to leave the Legion camp with no particular trouble. They're not as concerned with people going out, especially since you all are not soldiers who are possibly looking off. And you make your way through the town back to the tavern. It is still fairly early, but late enough that the people who had stayed the night and are waking up and gotten breakfast, or the people who had just come in to eat in the morning have trickled out. The halfling who was behind the bar, Albach, I believe was his name, is just kind of cleaning dishes, getting things back together from the breakfast rush. He nods at you as you all enter. You basically have the tavern to yourself right now.
I just put Ada's token on the most tavern-like building outside.
That's fine. The tavern itself is not this close to the camp, but that will work.
We can just pretend it's further away.
Yeah. Not a combat map, so
Theater of the mind.
yes.
Lisa's just going to look around because even though it's empty, he's got this paranoia, so he's going to try and do a perception to make sure there's no one milling around paying attention to them.
Okay.
That would be a 12.
Other than the tavern keeper's daughter doing a not very good job of trying to hide in the stairwell and watch you all, no, there's no one listening in that you can see.
We should probably take a table away from the doors.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep.
So, this doesn't necessarily have to be done in character, though it can if you want to. What are y'all thinking for a plan to move forward here?
Well,
Lisa's actually going to point out all the weak spots he found on their defenses as escape routes.
Okay.
Good.
And there is a section of wall which, at least earlier today, was fairly poorly guarded. That is close to the headquarters. In fact, the headquarters butts up against the wall, so that might be a potential usable route.
He's also going to mention to them that he can get them over that wall, but he can only get himself over, and then he'd have to drop a rope for them if they need to escape that way.
Okay, so Ada's suggestion, with the full awareness that this might be a terrible, terrible idea and would probably lead to them getting caught, would be, because she's not particularly sneaky, if she were able to sort of stand guard in the area where the Tribune's house is, and if she sees him leave, to be a distraction for the rest of the group. So, while everyone else is sneaking in and trying to get the rock, she's not there because she would be a liability to a stealth mission.
Which is true, but at the same time, that would arouse suspicion if she was just milling around his area, which is what Lisa's going to point out, that she doesn't want to draw undue attention. Because that will give him a sneaking suspicion that we're up to something if she's not with us.
That's true. Maybe if she stands not outside his house, but somewhere where she can see the legate's house, and if she sees the Tribune on his way over there, then she could intervene. Maybe, perhaps it wouldn't be too out of place if she asked to join the soldiers on the training field, which I think maybe she'd be able to see from there.
More than likely, at least, especially if you were closer to the road, you wouldn't be able to see directly to like the doorway, but you could see like the main kind of camp road through this region, definitely. Also, just something that might be of some interest as these plans develop. The legionary soldiers' helmets are fully enclosed. Just throwing that out.
At least would have picked up on that, so they have a smaller field of vision. He's also going to mention the Oracle. She did say she would offer us her assistance if we need it. She might be able to play a distraction to keep the Tribune busy.
That's true, But it never hurts to have backup plans, and Ada is not... The more she talks about this, the more you guys get the feeling that she's not exactly comfortable with breaking and entering herself. Like, she'll let you guys do it, but she'd rather not do it.
Okay.
He just rolls his eyes. You act like this isn't a normal Tuesday.
This isn't a normal Tuesday. You said you had a dream last night.
Okay, yes. But this is business as usual for me. Just leave this in the experts' hands.
I am aware that I wear armor that clangs, and I'm not a good liar. So
I'm a good liar.
If we can get me a set of the soldiers' armor, which I can put on once I'm inside the keep, then I would be able to keep an eye on things from the outside. And I would have my weapon in hand and ready to go, should we need it.
Okay, you guys still haven't heard my plan.
Yes.
My plan was to talk to the elf guy again, hypnotize him with my hypnotism spell, into letting us in to see the legate? Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, spell description thing, hypnotism basically just fascinates the target. Basically, they sit there and they stare at the pretty sparkly lights until the spell duration ends. The spell that would potentially be able to convince him to do something for you would be suggestion, or charm person.
Well, hypnotism does say that they become 2 steps friendlier toward me and will comply with one short and reasonable request.
Does it? Okay. I am misremembering the hypnotism spell description then,
It also
apparently.
says that when the spell ends, they retain their new disposition in regards to the request.
I would like to point out, though, that he's extremely hostile, and even 2 steps towards us would not make letting us in a reasonable request, because that would be going against his orders.
Yeah. 2 steps in would basically make him neutral towards you all at this point.
You haven't heard
And
the whole
again,
plan.
depending on the penalty for not following orders. Now, someone who, like a standard guard who doesn't already know you, has no opinion towards you whatsoever, moving their attitude up 2 steps, they might be willing to let you in the building, despite the fact that they're not supposed to, if you use something like that.
Well, you still haven't heard the whole plan.
Okay.
You haven't heard the complete version of the request.
Okay, go for it.
I was going to ask him if the legate was asleep. And if he was, can we go in and just see him so that we can tell the people who give us our orders that we saw him? Even though we didn't speak to him.
That might work, but I'm also going to point out that as an elf, he has a +2 against any type of fascination or charm spells. So that would make it more difficult for you. Anything that's an enchantment, he has a racial bonus against.
Yeah, it would be very difficult, and that's hinging on a lot of conditional terms.
Going after the elf is not our best idea, but I do like the plan of using perhaps one of the not high ranking guards, but one of like mid-tier guards, just to like get our way in. That plan could work.
And if you could perhaps use that to get me a suit of armor to have a disguise, that would be very helpful as well.
Disguising you is going to be a little bit difficult.
Not if I'm wearing their armor.
Can I
I know how
disguise?
to, have you seen me fight?
Can I disguise other people with my disguise skill?
Yes, you can.
There you go.
Lisa's also going to point
Yeah,
out
you can.
that if they could, he's going to say with like a grimace that if they could possibly try to make him look like an actual elf, and he seems very disgusted by this, he might be able to pull some strings and work his way through.
What were you thinking there?
Well, with the elf plan, we know that the guy doesn't like dark elves. If we can make up Lisa's skin and stuff to make him pass as either a wood elf, because there's no way he can pass as a high elf. If we can get him to pass as a wood elf, we might be able to make if we see the elf in passing, he might not recognize him, and he might be a little bit more favorable than seeing the dark elf again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be, because I've already seen it would be foolish if we were to go in without disguises of some description. But I think our goal should be to not get the Tribune involved whatsoever.
Well, there's a problem
Like,
with Lisa's
If
plan.
everything goes well, then we don't see him. Yeah?
His plan involves makeup, and I don't actually own a disguise kit.
Let's go shopping.
You are in a town. It is not unreasonable that you would be able to find one for sale at some point in here.
Well, it's also the fact that Lisa's also going to point out that if shit goes horribly awry, he can buy them some time by blacking out the area so that they can escape.
Ada's also going to mention that if shit goes horribly, then she's pretty sure she can get bailed out. She's got connections in high places. Like, it might take a while, but she doesn't think that she would be in as much trouble as if one of you guys got caught.
Police would be hung immediately.
She doesn't say that, but
Oh, Lise just flat out says he would be executed on the spot. The elf would make sure of it.
yeah. Yeah, Ada's just like deadpan, she's like, yeah.
Okay,
I don't
so
like elves.
okay,
That's
so
okay.
You were saying.
okay, so we had to go buy a disguise kit, so we can disguise Lise as a regular wood elf, and we need to get ourselves a suit of armor so we can disguise Ada as a soldier. If we can get
Yep.
in, what next? We still have to find the legate's bedroom, wherever he is. I'm assuming he's going to be in bed, clutching that stone, and then one of us is going to have to get it off of him.
That seems more the expertise of you and Lise than mine.
We might be able to use the Oracle in that plan. Yes, we're not supposed to get in, but if we are able to, per se, distract one of the guards or make them more favorable towards us, we might be able to use the Oracle to get in and make it seem like it's completely normal. Maybe that she had called for a healer or something to check up on him out of concern for her legate.
Question for the DM. I see that there is a convenient cliff path right up behind the legate's house. Do you know about?
Well, you all probably don't know about that as of right now, but a little bit of scouting, you might be able to find it.
All right.
What was that? My microphone was breaking up.
Scout.
Yeah, Hannah was asking about that nicely located little cliff path out behind the commander's office.
And if we knew about it, but we unfortunately, at this point, do not.
Yeah, because the only time that anyone said that like they're examining the area was from within the walls. You can't see it within the walls, and you really can't see it unless you're like going around the backside of the walls and like looking over that cliffside.
Well, given that Lise is fully committed to a breaking and entering plan, he's going to suggest they do a full scouting op before they do anything else, because they need to make sure that there's ways in and out.
Okay.
So, my proposal is we split the party. Those of us that are good at scouting and sneaking should do that. Ada knows she's not good at that, so she's going to nominate herself to go buy the disguise kit.
Lise is also going to mention that he's not only going to need makeup for his skin, he's going to need a washable hair dye and something to fix up his eyes, because his eyes are a dead giveaway.
Ada's going to jokingly say, well, if you need a wig, I suppose I've got hair to spare. Like, gesture to the long mane that she's got.
You could just get a wig that covers up your eyes. Go for like a weird emo look.
That would work, but that might also hinder my ability to scout, and it might raise suspicion of the fact that I'm covering up my eyes.
It's just another subtype of elf. Emo elf is just another random subtype that no one's ever heard of. There's like 50 of them anyway. That's not canon, by the way, in case it was not clear.
Oh, I know. I found it funny.
All right, so does anyone want to go with Lise to scout, and does anyone want to go with Ada to search for supplies?
Well, it's...
How much would I reckon a disguise kit would cost?
more than I had left over after character creation. But I've gotten some money since.
1 second, I'm looking it up.
It's either like 20 or 50 gold pieces. If it's 20 pieces, I've got it. If it's 50,
Disguise kit's 50 gold.
dang it.
Okay, I have enough.
Yeah, I believe like between the how much you all found, it was what 300 gold in the lockbox.
150.
150. That's right.
And Caius took 30 of it with him.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so Ada needs 15 more gold pieces to cover the cost of that, but she doesn't mind spending her own money on it as much as she has, at least.
Lise will actually suggest that Domitia go with Ada for the fact that she might be able to negotiate a more favorable deal.
I was gonna go anyway.
Yeah,
Alright.
because he's gonna work a little bit better on his own.
Okay, what's Alexander doing?
Sitting there quietly, presumably.
Probably polishing their gun.
Wait,
yeah,
how did...
Kaza, do you want to go with either group?
I'm not sure who to go with.
Well,
Oh.
Lise is doing a scouting op, and your marksman eyes might actually be helpful for, like, picking out things.
You are trained in survival and perception.
That is a good point.
And Ada's going to also point out that safety in numbers.
Yeah, I'll go with him.
All right.
That'll be a
So-
good week.
Let's go ahead. Let's do the shopping real quick because that's basically just a die roll. Within a couple hours of looking around, you're able to find a shop that has makeup, wigs,
Costume shop.
that type of thing. The type of thing that you would need need to have in a disguise kit. We don't have to RP this out specifically. If you want to try to negotiate for a better price, go ahead, and I'm going to need a diplomacy check.
Okay, Domitia suggests 40 gold instead of 50.
All right, like I said, roll me diplomacy.
That's a 14.
I'm going to roll to assist, and that is a 18. So,
Okay. So the assist does apply in this case, Ada. So that you said what 14 for Domitia's
Yes.
total. So that makes it a 16 now. The shopkeeper kind of looks it over, thinks it over, makes a show of, well, I don't normally cut prices quite that much, but you two seem like some fine, upstanding ladies, so I suppose I can.
You're,
Okay.
so
Then I
is
have a
that coming
disguise
all
kit now.
out of Misha's pocket, or is
Yep.
Ada helping to pay for it?
I've
Okay.
got lots of money. I had 75. So now I'm down to 35.
Alright. And you'll be the one that needs it anyway, so.
Yeah,
Alright.
and at least we'll wind up paying her back later because it's being used on him.
All right. Lise and Alexander, where on the map are you all starting?
I imagine they're just scouting around the fortress walls on either side.
Right.
Yeah, I'm doing a full recon. Like, I'm going to check around the walls, but I'm also going to see if there's, like, any usable, like, any scalable cliffside or easily traversable terrain.
Okay. So yeah, looking at the scalable cliffside, once you get to this corner down here, you definitely see the path. Go ahead and roll me a perception check on that for both of y'all. And give me stealth as well.
Okay.
Nice. Nice job, Elise. Good rogue.
Okay.
All right.
Perception. Oh, Jesus. Okay. And then stealth. Still pretty good. So that would be a 25 and a 19.
Okay. So in this case, since it's, middle of the day, it's less a stealth roll for not being seen, more a stealth roll for appearing nonchalant and like you are supposed to be there. None of the guards in the area seem to actually pay you any mind, so apparently you feel like you've succeeded on that regard. You are able to spot the cliff path. There is one path down here leading down to the water. Presumably a boat could get you to the end of that path. There's also one that runs further down and off the area of this map. You could probably scale down to that one further along and then use it to kind of sneak up along the cliff side. It does reach a small, fairly well-concealed door in the wall. It's recessed just a little bit, so looking at it from the side, it looks almost exactly like just a continuation of the wall, but you are able to spot, like, there's a little bit of a recession in there where presumably you would be able to get in, and it does look like it leads into the back end of the building that you're trying to get into.
That actually simplifies things a lot.
You don't see any guards at first, but as you watch, there is one soldier that kind of like takes a step out, leans over, like spits down into the river, just kind of watches it fall down the cliff, and then comes back. If you watch further, it appears that there's probably no more than 2 guards stationed there just to kind of keep an eye on things. But they don't have the best lines of sight, given that the cliff kind of turns here. You could probably get at least up to this corner without being spotted, closer if they're not paying all that much attention.
Do they have a general time frame of when they're doing these?
Well, how long do you want to sit there and wait?
Well, I was going to have Alexander just look around if he's okay with that, while I'm just keeping an eye on, like, their patrol routes, and also keeping an eye out for, like, how this side of the wall in general operates. I'm just keeping a complete scouting operation here to get their patrol route while Alexander is looking around.
Okay.
All right. So Lise kind of hunkers down somewhere that he's basically out of sight. After a couple hours, the guards on the wall change. They still don't appear that vigilant. They haven't noticed you there, for one thing. Especially on kind of this corner here, they're mostly looking out over a cliffside and, like the back end of town. People don't come down here anyway. It's almost like they don't really see the need to, like, keep too close of a watch out. this section of wall, which is the one that you'd taken note of earlier, it appears to have a long-term kind of card game going on. The guards that were relieved kind of left the cards there, and the guards that came in just more or less took it up. They hide the cards really quick when an officer-looking person comes along, and then pretty much promptly break them right back out. The guards down here, again, get changed out after a couple hours. You just kind of, like, there's a bit of a sound. You can hear, like, door open, brief conversation that you don't quite catch the details of, door closes, and then after a minute or two, you see a different-looking person kind of step out, like, look over the river for a bit, and then step back in. So they don't really appear to patrol this back cliff path, like, at all. And at least a couple hour guard rotation on both the walls and on the cliffs. Alexander, you notice they just kind of scouting it out. The main gatehouse up here appears to be fairly heavily guarded. The secondary gatehouses here and here, they do have guards at them, but they're a little bit less vigilant. You notice that there's a supply delivery brought in to this gatehouse here. It's basically just a wagon loaded up of stuff. As it approaches, they open the door, they let it in, and they close it. They basically don't even question them as they come in.
Okay.
Man, I'm glad that they're running a loose ship here.
I'm done my surveillance. I'm going to meet back up with Alexander around the back area so that I'm not drawing attention.
Okay.
I don't want to pull the guards' attention by them just seeing me pop out and meet up with someone.
Right. Yeah, you're able to sneak back far enough away from the wall that you're not drawing immediate attention to yourself, and then find where Alexander is.
With that, I think we should go back and regroup with the group and give them an idea of what we found and just what we could do, since what I found changed our attack plan entirely.
All right, so everyone meets back up at the Hellhound's Lodge, and I will say that conveniently enough, your work took you through the lunch hour rush, so it's again kind of... There's a couple more people in here, but they appear to just kind of be chatting and drinking with each other, and no one's really paying you all any mind.
All right, we convene at the same table that we were discussing plans earlier, I assume, because we probably picked a good one.
I had picked one away from prying eyes so that we could keep as concealed as possible because rogue. Just knack for that.
Yep.
And I'm going to point out how the patrols in that particular area were extremely lax, and how I found the routes that we could either take a boat, or there's actually the little path we can traverse to the door.
I think a boat would be, one, much more noticeable, and two, depending on the current of the river, a less reliable escape vehicle than legs.
Oh, I'm in complete agreement, but a boat could prove to be a valuable distraction.
I did volunteer to be the distraction.
You also are in armor. You're not getting in that boat.
Let me just see what Ada's swim score is. If she didn't have her armor, it would be a 3, but it's a 1.
Yeah, I was actually proposing that we just put the boat there and just prop up a dummy there to make it look like there's someone there. Just if they look over, that could be our fake out.
I think it would be incredibly hard, one, to procure a boat without being noticed in our time frame, and two, to get it there without the guards noticing. But if you can think of a way to do it, then yeah, it's a good idea.
I can think of a way to do it, but it would require the cover of night, a lot of things to align perfectly, and a couple guards to die.
I'm going to do a soft veto on that then. If everybody really wants to do it,
It's
I would
our
prefer
backup
people
plan.
not die. But
I mean,
I
they're
don't
not hindering
understand.
us.
I don't understand why we can't just use the back door up the cliff to sneak in, get the stone, and leave.
Oh, that was the plan. It's just the boat is like a backup plan if it turns out we can't do that.
Well, how about I just go with you? I mean, I'm pretty stealthy myself. And if anyone happens to show up, I'll just put them to sleep.
Plus, generally I've noticed there's a lot of humans there. They don't deal well in my kind of territory.
You would know that the majority of the Legion soldiers are, in fact, human.
so I agree you two should be in charge of breaking in to the place however you guys want to do that. Where do you guys want me and Alexander?
Right outside. Like, right around
Within
here.
the keep? Within the keep or outside at the cliff?
On the cliff path.
He was just pointing out around the number 10 down there.
I get the general idea. If we get followed or anything, having some backup so we could just like knock them out and then escape would be very helpful, since I'm going to have to probably leave my weapon behind to not draw attention.
Alright, just call me a worrywart, but I just want to make sure we have everything thought through properly. What if something happens where you can't get out through the cliff exit and would have to go out through the keep? Would you all rather risk that on your own, or would you rather have either me or Alexander inside the keep?
If
Well-
something goes wrong and we need your help, as soon as I'm outside, I'll cast dancing lights in the sky so you can see.
That's a good...
Although you do pose an interesting dilemma there. Did Alexander relay the information about like the supply cart and the rather lacking patrol around the side gates?
Yeah, he would have given as much information as he could remember.
Okay, then Lisa's going to go ahead and point out that if they need to escape, these side routes would be the best way. So Ada could possibly go in under the guise of just like a friendly training match, just to foster relations.
Okay. And if I'm inside, that would give
Suspicion
me...
on her part.
She's less worried about suspicion than you guys seem to be. She
Is that?
doesn't 100% mind if she gets... because she's got relatives in high places. And you guys don't. So she's more than willing to go into the keep if you guys want her there. But if you don't want her there, that's fine too.
It's possible, especially if you guys get her a set of armor, she could just walk up to one of the gates, tell the other guards they are relieved, and that might just... they might just let her be the gate guard for the time that you all are in there. Possibly.
That's very possible, because we saw how lax their guard was, and they would probably take that opportunity just to take it and run. But we'd also have to make sure that it's lined up with the relief schedules, and probably dispose of the person who was coming to relieve them originally. Not kill them, just knock them out temporarily.
That's probably where
I
we
can
get
knock
the
people out, no problem.
Or we could have the Oracle distract them.
That's true.
Have her like tell them that she sees something and they should not go out that night or that day, and that she has found a suitable replacement to take their shift.
If we can get her to do that, then that would be the ideal. I believe so.
She did offer to help us, and if it removes whatever is causing this from the Legate's grasp, that would definitely be a risk she'd be willing to take, I believe.
Alright, so I will go talk to the Oracle and see about getting myself put in on the guard roster on that north gate, you said, right?
I thought we were going to go out the south gate, because with him being in 10, we could just go around the wall here and then go out the south gate.
Yeah, but which one was the one they made the supply drops from? Would that
The
be easier?
north. Well, that would require us to actually get in the cart and then get the cart to go out as we were leaving. If you're at the south gate, you can just let us out.
That's true, that's true. Alright. I'll see about getting myself on the south gate then.
All right. So Ada's going to be inside. Lise and Demisha are going to be sneaking their way in. Alexander, where are you planning on? What are you planning on doing in all this?
I mean, I think Lise originally said have him waiting outside 10, right?
Yeah, that seems like the best idea.
Yeah,
Just in case there is a little bit of trouble and we can't go out Ada's route, it would be good to have someone backing us up at 10.
And
Yes,
I actually think that 10 should be the route you guys shoot for using, and Ada's is the backup.
Oh, Ada's is definitely the backup. Like, if we can get in and out, I'm just posing, like, Ada's route is if something happens and a commotion starts, I can drop a globe of darkness and we can run through the globe.
And I'll let you out the gate.
Out her gate and then disappear into the night.
Yes. I think we're all on the same page. Alright.
Because I actually had a plan for that. If someone winds up chasing us, I was actually going to wait until they called intruders and then cast dancing lights on them as like something to point out, hey, here's the intruder. Have the guards attack their own man while we bolt.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I think what we've got is good. And I think, unless there are other concerns, I should go talk to the Oracle.
We should also see about getting me made up, although I'm not fond of this idea.
Yeah, Demisha will take care of that.
Demisha clenches her fists, grits her teeth, stares down at the table, and says, "Let's do this."
Okay.
Better make me pretty.
All right. So, Demisha, go ahead and roll me a disguise check. And Ada, you just go up to the gate.
Okay, that's a 20 total.
All right. So the way disguise, like you put a pretty dang good disguise on him. Like you get good coverage of the makeup. You have Lise cover over as much of his like arms and whatnot as possible to begin with, and then make up like the face. You're able to either dye the hair or you got a wig, whichever. I'll leave that up to you.
And
I don't
blue
know exactly
contact
how.
lenses.
Yeah, I was going to say contact lenses aren't really a thing in this kind of setting, but you're able to you're basically able to just, if nothing else, draw attention away from the eyes so that it's not as obvious. And stepping back, like you can tell that it's makeup.
Ooh,
but
maybe
if
I could put like a special colored eyeshadow around his eyes so that they don't look red, they look brown.
Sure.
What elves normally do have like markings to detract away from like the eyes, and it's more like on their facial features to draw them out more. So that could work.
Yeah, that works. Like you're able to like kind of like stress Lisa's other facial features. You're able to like strategically choose kind of like an eyeliner, eyeshadow type color that kind of like blends out some of the red in his eye. And, it's a pretty good job. You're pretty sure if you didn't know that you were looking at someone in a bunch of makeup, that you probably wouldn't give them a second glance. The way the disguise skill works, basically your disguise skill check sets the perception DC for somebody to see through the disguise.
And I got 20. So good luck with that, soldiers.
All right, Ada comes up to the gate, again, is just kind of motioned on through pretty easily. And you find the Oracle kind of just waiting and watching the soldiers train. She nods at you, kind of holds up a hand like, stay there for a moment. And then after a couple minutes, walks around the building.
I pushed the wrong button again. I said, alright, and I'm just gonna follow her.
All right. She is kind of casually waiting behind the building. Nods at you. Says, "So I trust you have a plan."
Yes, we think we do. And it requires me getting a guard uniform that will fit me.
Okay. I believe that can be done.
And also a little bit of something else that might not be so easily done. We were hoping that you could get me into the guard rotation on the south gate tonight.
That will be more difficult. I am not, strictly speaking, involved in that process.
It wouldn't have to be with the tribune or the legate himself, but if you could convince the guard that's supposed to be doing it that you've got someone to take over his shift, or perhaps that there's a good enough reason that he shouldn't take his shift, then I think it would be easier to go through the soldiers than anything else.
Like, tell the guard that you saw a vision that if he goes on shift that night, then he'll catch a terrible disease from the night air.
Yeah, and I remember Domitia suggesting that, so I suggest that as well.
I do not particularly care to make up things such as that, but this is an extraordinary circumstance. I believe I can manage that. I will do some checking.
We're in the same boat, so Ada just gives her the Roman. Well, I guess this is a Roman thing. She just gives her a thumbs up.
All right.
Wasn't it thumbs down though?
Thumbs down mean you cut off the gladiator's head. Thumbs up means he lives.
I thought it was reverse.
I've heard some conflicting things. I've heard that the thumbs up does come from that's the sign for letting the gladiators live. I've heard that they were reversed. I've heard that the thumbs up has literally nothing to do with ancient Rome. So I don't actually know, but we'll say that in this version of ancient Rome, thumbs up means what it does in our world.
Okay.
All right. She goes, well, as far as armor, that will be a little bit easier. And she basically goes into this building right here, just walks straight past the guards, walks into a row of, past rows of weapons, past rows of armor, and gets you a, breastplate helmet that she thinks will fit. Gets you a tunic as well that the soldiers wear underneath it, and the shield, the short sword, and the javelin. He just hands it to you. Tells you I'd recommend that you go ahead and change into that. I think it might raise a few eyebrows if you walk out carrying a full set of Imperial kit.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on.
All right, and after a minute or so, Ada is standing there in a just slightly too small set of Imperial Guard armor, but you can't see her face. You can't tell that she's obviously a half-orc. Again, without careful scrutiny, she looks like another soldier.
And given the disheveled state of the soldiers recently, she fits right in.
More than likely. There are two sizes in the army, too big and too small, so the fact that it doesn't quite fit is perfectly fine. All right, this guy's kind of looks over Ada well, that seems like it'll work. Did you have your own weapons and armor with you when you came?
Yeah, probably.
All right. They're able to find you're able to find like a sack or something, basically. She tells you just stash this somewhere that you can get to it, and put your gear into that and stash it somewhere. And she tells you that she'll handle the guard rotation, make sure that the actual guard finds he has something better to do tonight. So
Lise would have actually recommended that she not take her armor and stuff, because it would just come in on a social call, because if she's in full armor, that'll arouse suspicion. and have them like
Not
have
for
her
a
armor
paladin.
and backup. Well,
Not for a paladin.
his whole logic was if she's just coming to meet with someone, does she need to be in full armor?
Ada's always in full armor.
Fair enough. So he wouldn't be able to talk her out of it.
No, she would have insisted.
Okay, he would have
Yep.
brought up this and just been rebuffed. Gotcha.
Yep.
So, Skysia walks back out of the barracks, again, basically out of a back door, goes off to handle her end of things. Ada, what do you do?
Play soldier. I'm gonna go to the training fields.
All right. One of the Centurions kind of shouts out over at you, like, "You, Lucius, get back over here. You've been lounging for far too long," and motions for you to go back to training.
I do so.
All right. The rest of you all just kind of hanging out until nightfall, or what?
I was actually going to make sure that our preparations were all in order and then head over there very stealthily so I could like prepare and make sure that the door was all set up for us so we could get in and out very quickly.
Okay.
Just preparing our escape route.
Okay, so heading down toward the path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just setting everything up like if the path proved to be steep in parts, like setting up just trying to set up like handholds and stuff so we could, if we had to like jump, we could jump, grab the handholds, and then shimmy.
Okay. The path itself is fairly level. It gets a little bit steep at times, but there are steps cut into it, so it's manageable. It appears that there was once there are holes for like a ladder, basically to be secured to the cliff face where the path ends, but either the ladder has been destroyed or fallen away, or it's only brought out and placed there when someone's actually using it. So you will need to climb down a relatively sheer face in order to get to the path. So if you want to try to make some handholds to make that process easier, you can.
Well, there is I'm considering the possibility that I could. Would it be possible to get up there and then discreetly place the rope like over it, with it being a spider silk rope, so they would it being a silk rope, so they wouldn't notice it, like in the shadows and stuff? There's definitely some things that a rope would be able to secure to, if nothing else. Some of the points where the ladder would normally secure are valid. Go ahead and roll me a sleight of hand to try to get the rope secured, but also out of sight. All right, let me look up my modifier because I did not make a roll for that because I don't sleight of hand very often.
I knew I should have bought pittance.
Oh, I have pittance actually.
Those would work.
Yeah, I have pittance on me. Okay. I don't actually have any ranks in it because I didn't think I'd need it, but...
I have a hammer. We can use that to hammer the pittance in.
That would draw attention, though. Yeah, I roll an 8 for trying to do it discreetly, so we're going to have to go with, like, doing it with the pittance.
Yeah, you tie the rope off, you go back, like you think you have it, you go back to look, and it's pretty obvious that it's there, so... the pitons, you can get them secured in the top of the cliff face. You probably will have to at least hammer them in some. They're basically just like iron rings that you hammer into a rock face to give you a tie-off point. But some of the fixings for the ladder will at least make the job somewhat easier.
Yeah, I'm just going about doing it as quietly as possible. Like, I'm going to take 20 if possible.
Sure. So, Lise kind of climbs down a little bit, very, very carefully hammers a couple into place, and you are able to get a point that is rather secure, should hold everyone's weight on a rope, and you're pretty sure you didn't make too much noise in the process.
And I was also taking the 20 to just, like, try and make sure that it's in, like, the shadow and stuff, so it's not immediately visible when they do their guard check.
Yeah, that's fine. In this case, it's kind of, the fact that it's down on the cliff side means it's very much not visible from the top, and it doesn't appear that the guards patrol down this far anyway. So you get it shadowed as much as you could in case someone does come and look at it, but you're pretty confident it won't be found here.
Alrighty, now that we have our entry point and exit point secured, I'm going to just test it real quick just to make sure it holds my weight and that I'm able to look up and make sure that there's no one coming.
Okay, roll me a d20.
Natural 1.
Okay, so you go down, you climb down onto the rope, trying to make sure it tests your weight. You're looking up to, you can kind of peek up and see over a little bit. And about that time, you realize the piton's starting to slide.
I'm going to immediately get off, and we're going to have to re-secure them.
All right, make me a reflex save to try to grab onto something solid.
Actually, is it a sheer drop down, or is it just is it going to drop me down a couple feet?
It's not going to drop you all the way to the river, but a solid 20-25 feet down.
Featherfall once a day. I'm just going to pop Featherfall and gently drift down.
Okay. Well, you're now at the base of the cliff with the rope and piton in your hand, but you are not injured from the fall.
Okay, I'm going to make my way back up slowly to evade attention and be thankful I checked it to make sure it didn't fall when we were trying to get in.
All right. In that case, climb check to get back up.
Let me look at my climb. Another thing I didn't put into. I didn't think I was going to need those because I didn't think I'd be doing any scaling today.
You fool.
Well, that's a 21, so...
Okay. You scramble back up the cliff without too much difficulty. You come back up, and I will say this time you hammer it in, check the weight a bit, hammer it in just a little bit. Make sure. It takes you a little bit more time, but after a while, you're able to get it secured sufficiently that you believe this time it will not just pull out and drop you.
He's going to turn to Demisha if she's with him and just say, "You saw nothing."
Alrighty, so when are you guys going to wait for dark to carry this plan out?
We're going to wait until 10 minutes before the guard change. That way it gives us time to get in position, gives Ada time to get in position.
Okay. So yeah, there's a guard change around dusk. Skysia does just kind of walk by the training ground, whispers to Ada that, it is, that she's set, and tells you, again, next guard change is around dusk, so just be there then. And again, goes back around about her business. So the rest of you are waiting down by the rope.
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah, because Alexander is our backup.
At the top of the rope, or...
That's up to you.
I would have made my way to the door, and if there was a place that I could hide, inside the door frame, where I wouldn't be seen.
There are a couple guards down by the door, but if you're in this vicinity here, you can wait around the corner where they can't see you.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait and just be our scout so that when the coast is clear, we can do what we gotta do and just have Alexander hold a position there so he won't be seen.
Okay, so Alexander and Demisha, you're down on the path with him?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So you, Ada, guard change comes. You go over to the gate. There's actually a closer one about over here if you want to go for that one.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the one I was assuming y'all were planning on using. So yeah, you go. You just tell the guard I'm your relief to go. He's like, and leaves, no questions asked. The rest of you down here at the path, you see the guard change again. There's just a brief conversation like, all right, relief's here. Anything unusual? Nope. Just the river flowing by like usual. All right, sounds good. And then doors opening, doors closing, and presumably the new 1 or 2 guards that are down there settling into their position.
Okay, and I know that they normally do their card game there.
The card game was happening up on the wall above you, up here.
Okay, there's actually guards by the door itself.
Right. In fact, it sounds like someone just lost a decent bit of money in the card game given the sounds that are coming up from above you right now.
I'm going to try and just peek without drawing attention, see if that has drawn their attention.
Not really. You can see kind of sitting in the recessed door frame. The guard appears to just be sitting right at the door. There's a faint glow. They appear to be smoking something. Have a pipe lit up or something like that, and they're not really looking around much.
What are the odds of us getting through the door without engaging them?
How far away is he?
Roughly 30, 40 feet from the corner.
I could cast Lullaby on him and then try to put him to sleep.
You could try it.
I mean, that would certainly work, because I'd also be out of the range.
The chance of completely getting by him without, doing anything, basically none, because he's sitting literally against the door.
But Lullaby can put him to sleep, and then we can gingerly move him out of the way.
Correct. Magical sleep, it lasts for 1 minute per level. So right now, it's only going to guarantee that he's asleep for 1 minute.
But,
Depending on how tired
I
he
actually
is,
have a question.
longer.
It's possible. Yeah, what's your question?
If he's asleep, can I make a non-lethal sneak attack just to knock him out?
Yeah, that would be basically a coup de grace. You can use a weapon non-lethally. I will definitely say that that's allowable.
Yeah, I was gonna just non-lethal him once he's asleep, just to knock him out without doing too much harm. That way he won't be in our way.
Right. I don't suppose your character has a sap, do they?
No, I have the rapier and the longbow, or the short bow.
Is there a loose rock nearby?
Well, I
Yeah.
would think that I'm skilled enough in coercion stuff in my line of work that I would know how to use my rapier just to use the blunt end to knock someone out with it.
I mean, pommel smash him with it.
Yeah, you can do that.
Put him in the back of the head and knock him out.
Okay.
All right.
And
So,
Lullaby.
Demisha, you sneak up. Yep. Let's see here. All right, he manages to
Hell.
pass the save against Lullaby. Kind of jerks up, looks around a little bit, that was weird, and then kind of goes back to smoking his pipe.
Well, it's a cantrip.
Do it again.
Yep.
All right, cast it again. All right, this time he kind of yawns, stretches. He stands up, paces back and forth a little bit. You still doesn't appear to take any note of you, right at the corner. Sits back down, takes off his helmet, rubs his eyes.
Okay. Then -2 to its will save. Here we go.
All right.
Yeah.
And he fails that pretty hard, and kind of after a moment, he is slumped back against the door and snoring loudly.
Coup de grace him.
Yep, Lise moves in immediately and just knocks him out as carefully as possible without drawing attention or making too much noise. And once he's knocked out, just slumps him so he won't be seen and won't be blocking the door.
All right, roll. Basically, you get an automatic critical hit. So go ahead and just roll your sneak attack damage.
Okay, so with coup de grace, is that also extra damage, or?
The coup de grace is an automatic crit.
Okay, so it would be 2d6. You know what, I'm just going to go ahead and roll my normal damage and my sneak attack.
Okay.
So That would be 5, and then the sneak attack would be 1d6. And I would also roll another 1d6 plus 2 for the coup de grace.
I think it's
for
just a
confirmed
d6.
critical. Well, that's my sneak attack. And I'm not sure, because it's a critical, I think I get my damage again.
Yes, you do. The +2 applies twice, effectively.
Oh, it does?
Okay.
Oh,
It does.
So my total damage to him is 12. From the
All right.
coup de grace plus the sneak attack.
He is no longer snoring and is kind of just laying there, knocked completely out. You're pretty sure he's not going to have any kind of permanent damage from it, but it doesn't look like he's going to be waking up anytime soon. And based on the rapidly rising welt on his head, he's probably going to have one heck of a headache when he does wake up.
Well, it had to be done. I did tell her I wouldn't kill anyone if I could help it.
All right.
And with him slumped out of the way so he's not blocking the door and not seen, I'm going to go ahead and check for any traps or alarms. So I'm going to roll a disabled device just for checking. Or do you want me to do a perception?
Perception to check disabled device to try to...
That's an 11 because that's a 1.
Oh gosh. All right. Don't see anything here, either trap or alarm wise.
I'm calling Domisha for a second opinion.
Right.
What, you want me to look around?
Yes, I want her to keep an eye on the door because I just want a second opinion on it.
14.
All right. Demisha kind of looks around, doesn't see anything too out of the ordinary. Asks Lise if that little eyelet up top that seems to be attached to a string that runs back through the door frame is something important.
I'm going to go ahead and take 20 to look at that more carefully.
Yeah, it's something. There's a rope tied through it that basically when the door opens, it'll pull the rope.
Can I see where the rope is going, or with the eyelet, is it going through and I can't see where the rope leads out to?
It goes through the door frame somewhere on the inside.
So it probably makes a noise or something when we open the door. Well, that could be a problem unless we can deceive them into not seeing that as suspicious.
I mean, you can't, the end of the rope is on the outside of the door, so...
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try and open it as carefully as possible while, making sure the rope doesn't move too much. Just trying to, open it as stealthily as possible.
Can you do a disable device on it?
You can try it.
I can try it. That's a 16.
Okay. It's fairly simple to disable. You can basically just cut the rope. So
I
do you want to do that too?
Damage. It's I want to make it. I want to do it as non-damaging as possible because I don't want to leave a trace that we were there.
All right, you can untie it then.
Yeah, I'm gonna untie it carefully, just make sure I'm not making no noise, and then get the door open.
All right. The door opens up. It is locked, but you find a key on the body of the soldier who was guarding the door. You unlock it. You open the door very, very cautiously. Find that the now slack rope was run through a couple of eye holes along the wall and attached to a rather large bell on the inside of the building. You find yourself in an underground room, a cellar of some description. It appears to be, just have various, foodstuffs, documents, other things stored in different side rooms off of the cellar. You are able to see further up ahead of you a set of stairs leading upward. And you do not see any other guards in the immediate vicinity.
I'm going to look around the area to see if there's anything that might be useful to us. Just not as taking a long time, just glancing around.
Most of it's pretty.
It was a 20, so.
Yeah, most of it's pretty basic stuff. Unless you're hungry and want grabs for the road or something like that, there's not a whole lot that'll be of too much use.
Yeah. I was just looking at anything that might be able to distract someone if we come across anything.
I'm not thinking of anything that would be down here, but I'm having a hard time thinking of like a random object that would make that good of a distraction. It's not like firecrackers or anything down here if that's the kind of thing you're looking for,
No, I was just looking for like if something I could like toss to just like make noise the other direction to divert attention.
I mean,
Okay.
there is a bell.
Yeah, there's a bell. There's like you could like grab like a small sack of potatoes or turnips or something. They would at least make a sound if you tossed them down a hallway.
I'm going to forego those for now and just make a mental note that if I need to, I can come back and like scatter them to make it look like someone tried to sneak in to like steal their provisions.
Okay.
I mean, last ditch resort, you could always just throw a copper piece.
Yeah, like that's always an option. I was just knowing that the foodstuffs is there, we can actually set it up to make it look like the guard was like slacking on his duties and was raiding the supplies if we have to. Or that he had let someone in to raid the supplies. But with that information, I'm going to go ahead and start proceeding cautiously, keeping an eye out and sticking like close to the shadows.
Okay. Go ahead, roll me stealth and roll me perception for both Lise and Demisha.
That's an 11 stealth and a 12 perception.
The dice do not seem to like you very much tonight.
They really don't with these twos.
13 perception. 18 stealth.
Okay. You make your way up up the stairs. You find yourself in a hallway, fairly nicely decorated, fairly nicely laid out. Fairly close to the main front entrance as well. You kind of move down the hall a little bit. You can see the front door where you all were trying to get in earlier in the day. There are no guards immediately on the inside, though you can hear voices speaking just outside. It sounds like guards just having an idle chat, basically. Excuse me, sorry. You kind of round around the hallway, and there's some other hallways leading further, like into other parts of the first floor here, and there is a large staircase leading upward.
And we have no idea where his room would be because we didn't think to ask the Oracle. I should have asked her that and I just slipped my mind.
If any of you have knowledge and ability, knowledge local, you can roll those, or just roll a general intelligence check if you want to.
I got knowledge local.
All right.
It's not very high though. 8.
17.
Okay. So Lise has been in a few of these like high-end nice houses before. This you can see signs that this is a military headquarters, but it also looks very much just like a nice mansion that someone would just build. Generally speaking, when you have multiple floors like this, bedrooms tend to be upstairs. Like the bottom floor is for social calls and business, the upper floors are for, private life, sleeping, etc. Usually.
Okay, then with that knowledge, I'm going to start up the stairs and I'm going to do my perception just to like peek out as I'm going up, make sure I'm going to listen, make sure there's not like any footsteps upstairs of a patrol.
Okay.
That's a 28 for making sure that there's no one up there.
All right. You do hear near the top of the stairs the sounds of somebody shifting around their weight, not really walking back and forth, but it sounds like there is somebody standing at the top of the staircase.
I'm going to whisper to Domisha to let her know that we do have someone at the top of the staircase and that I don't know who it is, but we might want to be prepared. Just like giving her a heads up because this will be her area of expertise.
I'm not
friends.
I'm not disguised as a soldier. I don't know what I would say to him, and I've only got one more cast of sleep.
Well, what other spells do you have that could be useful? Like, do you have any type of coercion spells that might make him more?
I have hypnotism.
Is that a first level?
It's a
Or is
first
that a
level.
cantrip?
It's a first level spell. Yes.
Hmm.
My cantrips
Well-
are dancing lights, detect magic, light, mage hand, and lullaby.
That I'm actually trying to think of what might work there. You could try lullabying him to make him drowsy so that we could sneak through more easily,
I could do that.
because that'll
does-
make it easier for us to sneak by unnoticed.
That does give a penalty to perception checks.
All right. Making him drowsy.
All right. Yeah. Again, he doesn't fall asleep, obviously, because the lullaby spell does not do that. But you hear sounds of yawning, and again, just general the guard kind of shakes his head, gets up, paces around a little bit. Still seems to be sitting more or less close to the top of the stairs. But again, the lullaby has kicked in, so he's going to take a penalty of perception. You probably can't get by him directly, but if you could make a distraction in some way, that gives you a better chance of being able to then sneak past.
Let's see.
Ooh.
What's your idea?
Are there any objects past him, like on the other side of the area than us, that would make him look away if interacted with?
Yeah, so you glance up, just kind of like peek your eyes above the edge of the staircase. Is a longer hallway. There's a couple doors on each side. There are door knockers on those doors. There is a table with a rather large vase on it. A couple other just like little decorative items, knickknacks. Like there's a candelabra, or not a candelabra exactly, but like a little candle holder on a window that's sitting next to, or on a table rather, sitting next to an open window, or a cracked open window at least.
Okay. I'm going to cast Mage Hand, and I'm going to have it push open the window the rest of the way, and then knock the vase over.
Okay. The soldier kind of starts a little bit. You hear him grumbling to himself. Bloody giraffes in this building can't, all this money and make a fancy looking mansion, can't even make a proper, proper wind seal, etc. Kind of gets up, stomps his way over, sets the table back up.
Okay, we should
starts looking
sneak
at the
past
pieces of
as
broken
soon
vase.
as he's focusing on the vase.
All right, stealth checks.
21.
19.
All right, just a second here. Okay, yeah, he does not see you.
I would hope not with that one. It's not a nat one, but it's still a one.
Yeah. Sorry, it took me a second. My push-to-talk button likes to type strings of apostrophes in my in the chat window, and I had to get rid of those. So yeah, you guys slide up the hall, basically making no sound whatsoever as the soldier is kind of trying to pick up the broken pieces of the vase. Do you want to duck into one of the rooms here, or go like to the end of the hall and around the corner?
It would be best if we probably hid in a room.
Okay.
I would also agree, just so we can like make sure that he passes by again and he doesn't like intercept us on the way.
Okay. So I'll just say the stealth checks also cover getting the door open quietly. So you're able to, fortunately the door handle does not squeak. You're able to slide into a room, close the door behind you. You hear some more grumbling. You hear some clinking as the shattered vase is picked up. You hear the window being shut and latched, and then the soldier walking back past the door and taking back up position on, near the top of the stairs where he was.
What's in the room we ducked into?
The room that you are in appears to be a guest bedroom of sorts. It's set up with bed, washstand, mirror, fairly nice bed. This is actually, really fancy. It looks really comfortable. No one is in it. And from the slight veneer of dust over everything, it doesn't seem like anyone's been in it for a while now. There is another door that seems to lead to... There's another door that leads to the adjoining room that was next up the hall, and a door in the back on the opposite end from where you entered.
Any of these doors leading out, would they lead into his line of sight?
No.
Okay. So we can sneak out through them and then proceed without him catching sight of us.
Correct.
I'm going to just go ahead and, for one, I'm going to check the adjoining room just to make sure that, we can get out easily, and then if we need to, we can come back through that way.
Do we even know...
Go ahead.
Do we even know where this guy is?
You at least are fairly positive he is somewhere in this building. He has been locked in his personal, private study for the last several weeks, and no one has seen him enter or leave since he came back.
And I would know that from my local knowledge check that normally that would be the most ornate room because they like to boast about.
Generally speaking, yes. Generally speaking.
We look for the fanciest doorway in the fanciest area, and that's probably where we're going to find him.
All right. So you said you checked the side door first?
I'm just checking I'm checking all the access routes and escape routes without drawing attention. That way, I can plot out our escape.
So there's the door that you just came in from, which if you open that's going to be right in front of the guard now, more than likely. There's the side door, which leads to what appears to be another guest room, basically a mirror image of this one. It also has a door leading back out into the hallway and a door, in the back end of the room. Also looks fairly unused. And you see... when you open the back door to look in, this door is much smaller. It is much more plain, almost as if it's designed to be as unnoticeable as possible without, being fully hidden. You poke your head in, and you're in kind of a narrow, somewhat dark corridor lit by candles at fairly wide intervals. And you look at the back side of the door, and there's a plaque on it that says guest number 6. You see next to you there's a door leading into presumably the other guest bedroom.
Peculiar. I actually didn't catch most of that because you broke up on my end.
Okay, sorry. So it's a narrow, dimly lit hallway. Appears very plain, completely undecorated. And there's the plaque on the back end of the door that you just looked through. It says guest number 6.
Which means this is for less notable dignitaries and stuff that they don't really want to give the full treatment for.
Right. Also, I would say Lise probably also has enough experience with these types of houses to recognize this is a servant's corridor.
Yeah, so this is definitely not the way we would want to go. I've done enough delving into these types of things on my jobs.
Well, generally speaking, the servants are designed, they have their own routes through that are as unnoticeable as possible. And they generally do access most places. So if there's a servant's corridor to the guest bedrooms, there's probably a servant corridor to the other ones as well.
Would all these servant corridors link up that way they can traverse more easily? Is
More
that
than
knowledge
likely,
I would know? Then
More than likely, yes.
I'm going to choose to start down the servants corridor, just going very quietly, just scouting around, because with low light vision and dark vision, I can keep a wider sight range.
Right. So, Demisha, do you follow?
Yes, I do.
Alright.
Oh, but I just came up with a great idea.
Sure.
I forgot I took this feat. I'm going to transform into the likeness of the Oracle.
Okay. That's right, because you've got a feat that lets you...
Take the form of specific people.
Okay. Nice.
Lisa's going to stare at you in awe for a second, and then mention, why didn't you do that sooner?
I forgot I could.
That sounds about right for you.
I was going to say, that's not really that out of character for Demisha.
He's not even batting an eye at it. It's just like, yeah, that's about right.
Alright, so you guys spend a few minutes. It's a little bit labyrinthine, searching through the corridors, but you do find a room labeled with Alice's full name on it. Yeah, the door is shut. It appears not to have really been opened for a while.
Is it locked?
Do you try the door? Like, it doesn't have an obvious like padlock on it.
I'm going to look around the door very closely, like just keep an eye for like anything that would be out of the ordinary, because generally master rooms like this have like some type of way to keep would-be thieves out.
Okay, perception.
That would be an 18.
There's nothing on this door in particular. Generally speaking, most of the anti-theft, presumably most of like the anti-theft type things are more on the outside of the building, and two, this building is smack dab in the middle of a military camp. I think it relies, you can assume it relies a lot on its position to keep out much of the general thieves that might come along trying to steal from it.
Well, as like someone who does these types of jobs, he's just being very careful, like he's used to casing joints like this.
Yeah, that's totally fair to check, but you don't see anything specific that would be like an alarm.
Okay, I'm going to try the door very carefully at first, just to try and like get it squeaked open to glance through.
All right. You start to open it, and it does appear to be locked. There is a keyhole, and the door seems it doesn't want to open. I will say also, you notice when you rolled your perception, generally speaking, servant corridors into like the master's room are pretty well traversed. This one also looks like it really hasn't been used in a while. There's a lot of dust built up.
Which means that he hasn't been seeing even his servants. So either he's dead, he's sleeping, and his second in command is taking care of him through the front door, like the front door to his room, or there's something we're not seeing.
Yep. So if you want to try to get the lock open, you can disable device.
Yeah, I'm going to try my disable device, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to just take my time with it. That would be a 27. That's
more than enough. So about as least Jimmy's the lock open. I'm going to jump out here for a second to Ada and Alexander. You guys have just been kind of keeping watch, doing your thing. Everything's been quiet up till now. Ada, you've been just kind of at the gate. No one's really tried to come in or leave. There was a soldier who, words. I can form sentences. There was an officer who walked by, just asked, like, Ada, all's well, and Ada just, I assume, just kind of nods. Carry on, soldier. Keeps on walking. Doesn't really give her very much in the way of scrutiny. About the time that Lisa's starting to get the bedroom door open, though you all don't really have a way of knowing that, of course, you hear a commotion from up on this part of the wall a little bit. You hear somebody shout fairly loudly, "You cheating son of a," and then sounds of like people being punched, sounds of yelling, sounds of like a loud scuffle going on. Alexander is definitely able to hear it being basically like below that section of wall. Ada probably does as well, especially given that she's kind of like able to see that part a little bit clearer. And there appear to be some other soldiers moving in from other places to kind of try to break up the scuffle and whatnot.
I peek my head around the corner, and I just kind of watch what's going on. Just watch not specifically what's going on there, but to see if anybody is going towards the part of the wall that leads to the back of the house.
Not exactly like up on the back of the house proper, like up here, but there are several other soldiers and some officers that converge up here. There appears to be one officer in particular that starts shouting orders, shouting for people to stand down. The soldiers who were gambling, like they kind of, they're standing at attention as the officer begins kind of lecturing them. Alexander, as you're kind of observing all of this from below, you hear him say something about, like card games on duty and like, you see the deck of playing cards get tossed out right over top of your head and start fluttering down towards you. Do you do anything?
I'm just on, directly on the other side of the wall, right?
Yeah, you're not at the base of the wall, but you're a short way down the cliff, but basically right under where this is happening.
Is there anything nearby that I could duck into that would shield me from anyone looking over the wall?
You can kind of press up right against the cliffside. There's that corner right there. And the cliff is not clear, like there's some overhang, so you could either press right up there or try to duck around the corner like Peaches just pointed out.
Yeah, I'll the safest thing would be not moving at all, so I am just going to press into my current location.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
Do what I can to make sure there's nothing particularly shiny visible that would reflect light off of it.
All right. You can't see it. Ada does see couple of the soldiers kind of looking over the wall where the cards fell down. You see one of the cards flutter down to your feet, but there's no immediate response to you being down there. You seem to have snugged up enough that they can't really see you clearly. The officer who's up at the top of the wall, he shouts, he yells at some of the other soldiers to have the ones who were fighting and gambling taken off. Tells a couple of the other soldiers who are there to stay there and man the guard post. Comes back down and walks up to Ada.
Oh boy.
Kind of points at her abruptly. Kind of points at her, says, "You there? You're on gate guard this evening?"
Yes, sir.
There's a scuffle up at the wall. We're taking some of these miscreants off. I need you up guarding the wall with the others. I'll find someone to take care of the gate while you're gone.
Okay.
Does she say it like that?
No.
Right.
Out of character, this is actually going a lot like planned because she can distract people if we draw attention going down that way now.
It's possible, yeah. So Ada, takes off. The officer kind of yells after, like, move on out, soldier, and heads on back in toward the camp. And Ada is now up on the wall with 3 or 4 other soldiers. One of them kind of just glances at her like, well, that was something. That poker game's been going on for 2 weeks now, and no one's caught on to it yet.
Oh, yep. How long do you think before they get another deck up here?
Kind of laughs. Probably not more than a day or two. And kind of like glances down over the wall. It's a shame. It was a nice set of cards. Seemed to be lucky for me. Oh well.
I'm going to try to, well, not really do much of anything until perhaps there's another commotion.
All right, Alexander. You are still under the wall. You kind of like can hear some.
I do want to glance over and see if I can see Alexander.
All right. Same thing I was starting to say. Like there's a bit of a commotion. It's kind of died down. You can hear like voices talking. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Me?
Alexander.
Oh, okay. 10.
Okay. It's a little bit hard to tell what they're saying or what the voices sound like. But it appears that the commotion and the interest has kind of died down. Are you peeking out from where you are? Are you just staying like snugged up right against the cliffside? What are you doing?
I wasn't doing anything.
Well, like, again, are you like keeping in your hiding place? Or are you like starting to like look back up toward the wall again?
Staying in a hiding place until it seems everything quiets down.
Okay. Well, like I said, things have mostly quieted at this point. Like there's conversation going on up on the wall, but the commotion appears to have died down.
About how long has it actually been since it happened?
A couple minutes.
I'd probably give it about 10 minutes before I'd relax a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, if depending on whether or not Ada continues glancing over or just does right there at first, when she first does, she doesn't spot Alexander kind of hugged up in one of the clefts in the rock. If she looks again later on, she might see him down there, depending on... He's trying to be unnoticed, so it's going to be a bit of a long shot, but still.
No, I feel better when I can't see him.
Okay. All right. Excuse me.
Question for the inside party. Were we able to hear the commotion through, like, the windows?
Probably not, given that you all are fairly far inside of the building.
Okay, so we couldn't even hear, like, shouts.
Yeah, like, you might have heard some raised voices, but you're in a military camp. That's not that unusual.
Nothing worth noting for us, gotcha.
Right. So, speaking of the inside party, you all find yourself in what appears to basically be a study. It is large, it is fairly well outfitted, lots of just personal, like, knickknacks, things around. Up on the wall, there's a large banner. It's got LEG, XIV, and a golden embroidery picture of a bear. You recognize that from the fort. That's the symbol of the 14th Legion. There's also a banner with a LEG VII, and it has a embroidery of a Pegasus on it. That one looks considerably more old and faded. There are bookshelves, cabinets, with files in them. It looks a little bit disordered. It looks like it's been, left rather messy and somewhat disheveled, but you don't see anybody in the room.
Well, I'm gonna roll stealth just to continue being stealthy if you would like me to.
Go for it.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if the one we used before was going to carry over. That's a 22.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to be stealthy, and I'm just going to start, like, checking the room for anything that, like, looks out of the ordinary. I'm looking for any documentation that might show what he's been up to that we could, like, take back to Eulos.
Okay.
That's a 14 perception, so...
Okay. Demisha, do you want to roll as well?
I suppose I might as well. Am I just rolling perception?
Perception and stealth if you want to continue being sneaky about it.
Lisa's just being careful because that's his nature. I mean, the room is empty.
Right, 18 perception, 25 stealth.
Okay. Hang on just a second. Let me check on one thing.
Stealthier than the rogue.
All right. So yeah, you guys kind of very quietly, continue poking around the office. You find a book open on the desk. It appears to be the last thing that was read on this desk. Demisha, I see your languages on your little drop-down box. Lise, what languages do you speak?
Let me look it up because I forgot to put them in there. I have to find Common, Undercommon, Elven, Goblin, and Draconic.
Okay. It is in a language that you all do not recognize. You can make a linguistics check if you wish to attempt to identify it.
I got a +6. 22.
Okay. You're fairly quickly able to ID it as Dwarven.
That matches up with the information that we got from the Oracle about him meeting with dwarves, so this would be relevant. We just can't read it. How large is the book?
Look, small enough that you can easily carry it. Like it's hefty, but it's not like a massive tome that you would have to, awkwardly carry out.
Yeah, I was just
You
gonna
can fit it in a pack.
Yeah, I was gonna pocket it very carefully just so we could take it back and have someone analyze it, because Yulos might be able to get more information out of this than we can.
So, were there no people in this room?
Not in this room. There is another door that has several locks on it. Presumably, based on just your sense of direction, where you've been going, this appears to be the room the door that's probably leads out to the main hallway, and it has been bolted from the inside several times. There is another door that is apparently unlocked.
Okay, so the bolted door is the one that leads outside, so no visitors, and the one that's unbolted we can assume to be his bedroom.
That seems like a fair assumption to me.
I'm going to go ahead and move up towards it and just put my ear to the door very carefully, and I'm rolling a perception to listen. That's a 20.
You do not hear anything.
I don't hear any type of haggard breathing.
Not that
any
you can
snoring.
tell. Not that you
Okay.
can tell through the door.
Okay. I'm actually going to look to Domitia and see if she has any ideas, since she is currently disguised as the Oracle.
If you don't hear anything, pick the locks and let's see if we can get in.
Well, this one appears to be unlocked, but I'm going to go ahead and just check it for locks because it was the outside door that was locked.
Yeah, I'll say the same perception check applies. It does not appear to be locked or trapped in any way you can tell without opening the door.
Okay, I'm going to start very slowly, just cracking it to get a look inside without drawing attention.
All right. This does appear to be a bedroom. You see a man in armor sitting with his face toward a window. That is the curtains are the drapes are drawn, so even if it was daylight, very little light would actually come through. But other than that, he appears to be looking through the window. And I just put a little token on there for him. He does not respond in any way to you opening the door.
Is he dead focused on that window?
He appears to be. He's kind of facing not exactly 90 degrees away from the door, a little bit more than that. So you're kind of seeing his side and back a little bit.
Okay, Demisha, disguised as the Oracle, is going to step in and go ahem.
No response.
Alright, she's going to go over and try and shake his shoulder a little.
Lisa's actually going to reach out to stop her before she shakes him, just as a hold on, and point around him to just look around him for anything.
Alright, so does Demisha hold off on shaking him then?
Sure? I thought we already looked around.
Well, we looked in the other room and we glanced through this room, but I was going to do a full check of this room, see if there's anything on him, check if he's clenching something before you shake him.
Okay.
So I'm going to carefully come in and just start helping with like searching the room and checking him in particular.
All right. So yeah, roll me perception then.
That's a 13. I am rolling really poor with my perceptions today.
15.
Okay. So the room appears to be empty, other than the single person you see sitting in the room. He does not respond to anything that you're doing, even as you're kind of looking around him. And you notice that his hands are kind of crossed near his lap, and in the upper hand there is a black fist-sized stone in his hand.
Fist-sized?
Roughly.
I'm going to go ahead and use my, let me check if this is at will or not. I believe it is. Yes, I'm going to use my at will detect magic.
Okay. There is a there is a reasonably strong aura of conjuration magic coming from the stone in his hand.
Well, we might have found our source. And I'm whispering this, even though he's not responding, I'm still being low voices. And I just gesture towards the stone. Magic.
Yeah, and Demisha also has detect magic, so she can confirm that for herself if she so desires.
Okay.
Alright, so, what do you all do?
With the way that he's holding it, how difficult would it be to get it out of his hand without, like, jostling him?
From a fully awake and alert person, very, very difficult. Given the fact that he seems to be completely unresponsive, you feel like you could probably just kind of, like, poke it out of his hand and then pick it up.
Could I, like, nudge it out of his hand and replace it with something of equal size?
You could. You kind of look around and you find a, basically like a little small metal cup next to his bedside. That would be around about the same size if you kind of like slipped it in his hand.
I'm going to just consult with Domisha if she's okay with me just doing this, or if she has a different plan.
That's what we came here for. We're not gonna back out now.
So I'm going to just slide up very carefully and just do the swap. But while I'm doing the swap, I'm not touching it with my gloves or my hands. I'm actually taking out like a cloth and wrapping it up.
Okay. So sleight of hand.
Okay. I really need to make a roll for that. I'm using that so much. I don't even have it trained because I didn't think I'd use it this much.
You didn't think you would use sleight of hand as a rogue?
I wasn't going to be this type of rogue originally. I didn't think we would need this type of rogue. That's a 12.
Okay. So you get the rock loose, you're getting the cup back in his hand. He kind of stirs a little bit and like you hear this low muttered grumbling sound. But then his hand kind of closes around the cup and he seems to go back to unresponsive.
Lisa's going to quickly cast Lullaby on him.
I don't know Lullaby. You do.
No, Demisha, I mean.
Okay, I'm like, I can't cast Lullaby.
Okay. I'm not going to have him roll a will save because he is completely passed out right now. That seems to settle him a little bit. You get the stone. As you pick it up, you get almost the feeling that you're being watched. But looking around the room, you don't see anything other than the comatose man inside.
Feeling of being watched and a magical aura. What type of knowledge roll would that be? Arcana?
Arcana or spellcraft.
I don't have Arcana, and does spellcraft need to be trained to do a roll for it?
I believe it does, yes.
Okay, then I can't, but I'm going to just ask Domisha about it then. Maybe she knows something.
Nope.
You don't have either of them either?
Nope.
All right,
Well,
then.
that's that then.
Okay, now we just have to get out of here. Quickly.
Yep. Like, I mean, we can go out the same way we came in without any real drawing of attention. We just have to make sure, like, we close the doors.
Oh, how are we gonna get past the original guard that we passed with the knocking down the vase thing? I mean, I can get past him just fine because I'm disguised as the Oracle, but what about you?
I've got an idea. If you're disguised as the Oracle, you can just distract him and chat him up, and I can knock him out from behind.
Okay.
It's a little bit more heavy-handed than I would like, but we don't have many other options since he would be suspicious about the window again.
Okay, so let's head on back.
All right. Jumping to the outside again, as the other two are starting to make their way back out. Alexander, as you are kind of starting to relax a little bit, the commotion on the wall has died down. You're not feeling the need to completely stay totally hidden anymore. Excuse me. You hear a bit of a you hear some sounds like down toward where the others came in, almost like a door opening again. Do you just stay where you are? Do you try to approach a little bit?
Alexander?
I had my mic muted. Can you point out where I'm hearing the noise from?
Over this area, more or less where the others went into the building.
Yeah, I will check it out as carefully as I can.
Alrighty.
Probably just peek around.
Yeah.
So I'll say that doesn't necessarily require a stealth check because you're not really, like, you're out of sight the entire way up. You see a couple of other guards, like, they open the door, look around like, Lavinius, where are you? Like, kind of starting to check a little bit, like they were looking for the guard that was out here and, are a little bit concerned to find him not there at the door.
Huh. That also should surprise me that there's no one there, right?
Well, you knew that I assume you saw the guard being, like, knocked out. I'm assuming that you all put the body somewhere that wasn't just in immediate plain sight. So it's not necessarily that the guard has woken up, gotten up, and gone away, just that they were expecting to find him alert at the door.
Wasn't the plan that we left him there so that when he was found, it looked like he was slacking off?
Yeah, that was the plan, to make it look like he had been, like, in his cups or something, and he drifted back and knocked himself out.
Okay, that's fair. Retconning then, you see him, like, hey, Lavinius, wake up, we got something to tell you, and, like, they kind of, like, roughly, like, kick their foot a little bit, and, lean down, like, hey, wake up, if the Centurions caught you like this, you'd be, probably, hung like this, and, starting to shake him and beginning to become concerned that he's not just, waking up normally.
Okay, so things could go hairy here unless, depending on what they do.
Well, we did also prepare a backup plan for this exact same reason.
Oh, where are Domitia and Lise right now?
This is happening right about the time that you guys are starting to leave the room with the legate.
Okay. How long until we reach the back door?
It took you all probably 10-15 minutes to get in, being stealthy. It'll probably take the same amount of time coming back out.
Well,
at least, Amisha, you're going to probably want to come, like, approach from, like, within the hallway rather than, just, like, opening the door that you all, like, exactly backtracking your route in and just opening the door to an unused guest room right in front of one of the guards. So it might actually be a little bit faster in that regards. But yeah, depending on how sneaky you want to be, from just a couple minutes to, a decent little chunk of time.
Well, the plan was to have her Oracle disguise just distract him so I could sneak by unnoticed.
Right. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and and let Alexander decide exactly what he's going to do, and then we'll jump back to you two as you all are making your way back out.
Alexander is going to sort of stay put, kind of making himself a little less visible.
Okay.
But at the same time, he is going to make sure to, because things might go hairy here, he's going to load his pistol and keep it half-cocked so it can't actually go off on its own.
Okay.
Maybe Lise might have mentioned to him that if something goes hairy, like if their escape route is blocked, maybe like fire off a pistol shot or something.
I assume, yeah. Because he could sort of duck down, fire a pistol shot, and then just escape off into like the woods or something.
And that would also be Ada's warning to like prepare the escape route.
But yeah. What are they like? He's gonna be like making those preps and watching, like listening for what the guards are doing. If they're like gonna be stuck around that door for a while, or if they're moving on, like taking the guard to the infirmary or something.
Yeah. The guards, like they continue trying to wake him up a little bit. One of them finally takes off his helmet. Kind of a little bit of a sharp intake of breath. It's like, got a nasty bump on his head, doesn't he? Second one, probably was getting in a little bit too far into the bottle, passed out, and the first guard, kind of, I don't know, get him to, get him inside, get him out of here. I'm gonna take a bit of a look around. You hear the guard that you all knocked out being picked up, kind of thrown over a shoulder and manhandled back inside, and you hear the other guard, the one that stayed outside, beginning to kind of walk in your direction.
Oh boy.
Well, I did point out to him ways that he could like get away from what I surveyed, so he could probably slip away unnoticed.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. Okay, I think I have a 4 to that. Let me check to make sure.
How much of this do I notice?
The guards haven't gotten quite far enough around to come into Ada's field of vision yet, but if you're checking, you very well might be able to hear the guard walking along the path below you. So go ahead and roll me perception as well.
16. Yeah, 16.
My stealth is a 17.
Okay. So you're able to go ahead, begin making your way back along the path, get far enough away that the guard, checks a distance up the way and seems to let things be and go back. And as far as you can tell, you were not noticed doing that. Ada, you do hear like someone walking along the path below you. You're able to glance down and see that it is a soldier rather than Alexander or one of the group.
I'm just going to go ahead and give a general who goes there, just in case Alexander or whoever was down there didn't notice. And, I'm a guard. I'm supposed to check who's down there.
The soldier kind of looks up, a little bit of confusion at you, like, don't you see I'm in Imperial armor? Like, calls back up, we found Lavinius knocked out down here. Might have just bumped his head, but I was just checking things out. You haven't seen anything up there, have you?
Other than a brawl over a game of cards, no.
Huh. I don't know. Someone might have used that commotion to sneak up on him or something. I don't know. Keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to take over the watch at the door down here. And he turns around and starts heading back toward the back door.
How many other guards are up here with me?
I'm going to say there's 3 others.
I'm going to tell them that I feel a little bit responsible for the South Gate since I was posted there earlier, and I'm just going to run down there real quick and see if things are going on. Go and find down there. See if there's any evidence of people milling about outside.
Just doing your basic patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you head down toward the South Gate. There is another soldier standing watch there, but doesn't seem anything untoward. He just seems to, like, he nods at you as you're going by. Doesn't seem to recognize you. Just sitting there, keeping guard.
I stick around with him.
Okay. Alexander, you have gotten decently far away from the fort now. Do you want to go ahead and fire off your shot?
Yeah. Because things are it's going to be rough for them to get out the normal way. So he's going to fire off a shot and then hasten away from where he fired, just so it's harder to find him.
Okay. So Ada and Lise and Demisha, you do hear the shot. The guard with Ada kind of looks over his shoulder, kind of quizzically, shrugs his shoulders, goes back to what he was doing. He's kind of like whittling something there in his hands.
I'm just gonna say, after I hear that, I'm just gonna kind of look at him and say, that was pretty close. I think I'll stick with you for a little bit so you're not by yourself down here.
The guard just kind of like, keeps on whittling.
Whole lot of not care.
To be fair, who would attack a Legion fortress?
Yeah.
Crazy man with a gun.
Okay.
Yeah, you're in the middle of a walled encampment with a couple thousand soldiers here. I think they feel fairly safe overall. All right, inside group.
Is Demisha back at the back door yet?
Yeah, so you guys are making your way around. Go ahead and have Demisha roll me just either bluff or diplomacy, either one, just to distract the guard, make him think that there's nothing out of the ordinary for the Oracle to be walking by right now.
And I gotta be right back real quick, okay?
Okay, go for it.
Because I was going to say that shot would probably happen before we make the back door so we could adjust our escape plan.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it's
got
gonna happen before you guys make it all the way down.
I got an 11.
Okay, and roll me a stealth check.
Dice don't hate me now.
That's decent.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, definitely decent enough. So the guard seems a little bit confused, like, why are you coming out of the building? I should have seen you coming in. Demisha's able to just kind of like fast talk past him, just coming up with whatever seemed like just blathering away, trying to misdirect him. Lisa's able to slip on by. The guard seems a little bit more concerned with Oracle's sudden presence in the building than anything else, and he doesn't appear to notice Lise going by. Demisha is able to extricate himself from the conversation, though the guard kind of is giving her somewhat suspicious looks from behind as she goes. And you guys are basically in the foyer, like in the area behind the main front door, about to go back to the hallway that leads back down to the cellar when you hear Alexander's shot go off.
Well, our escape route in the back door has been foiled. Did I scout out any other ways to escape? Like, are there any windows we could slip out without drawing the guard's attention that are stationed at the front?
There are plenty. So at the sides of the house, around these sides, you can't see them from the front, especially this little corner here.
Yeah, I think that
kind of
corner
blind, and there are
the biggest blind spot for us to just slide out and then stealth along.
Yeah, and there are definitely windows that way.
I'm just going to point out that way and just like scout out to make sure there's no one patrolling those windows. Like, because we heard the shot, so we knew something was going on at the back door. I'm just making sure that there's not a guard there.
Okay. So as you're kind of scouting forward, you hear somebody coming up the cellar stairs, and you see a soldier with another one just kind of like fireman carry over his shoulder, tramping up the stairs, muttering about, heavy SOB kind of thing, and kind of makes his way past you all, doesn't appear to take too much notice of you guys, and makes his way out the front door.
Out of curiosity's sake, over here at the gate, it's just me and this one other guard. Without looking around too much, like, I mean, how many other people can see where me and this other guy are? Like, if I attempt to knock him out, am I going to get caught? Or should I be working on trying to send this guy away?
I am back.
Okay. You're not that visible, especially because it's coming up to nighttime. Most of the people around are going to be up on the walls, and their attention's going to be focused more outward. There are a few soldiers wandering by, but you can get some times when you're not really observed, especially if you go like more into the gatehouse as opposed to just, right out on the far side of it. So you could probably try to subdue him, and more than likely wouldn't arouse attention.
There's also the fact that we know these guards tend to be guilty of dereliction of duty, so you could probably just convince him to just take a fiver or something, or just focus on his whittling. He's not really paying that much attention since you're there.
Well, I feel like he'll notice if I open the gate and he's just standing right there. So,
that's what I'm saying. You might be able to send him away.
While they're working on getting out, I'm just gonna make the casual mention that I think I've got this covered if he wants to take a break.
The soldier kind of looks up at you, pauses from his work, kind of a little bit surprised that you're saying this, and is like, Centurion's on the warpath. I'm not sure we ought to do too much to risk getting his attention again.
Listen, I was the one really signed to the gate, and I feel bad for you having to be out here. So, it'll be on my head.
He kind of stops, sighs, thinks a minute. You're up on the wall, right?
Earlier, yeah.
They're probably going to be looking for you back up there then. I suppose I could head up. I suppose I could go up on the wall, let you take back over here.
Yeah, I was kind of planning on doing that tonight, and
Alright, go ahead and roll me a diplomacy check.
14.
He thinks about it, shrugs. Alright, well, Centurion comes back asking questions. You're the one who came up with this idea, and he heads over to take up his position up on the wall with the others.
As soon as he's out of sight, Ada gives herself a little fist pump and goes back to getting ready to open the door, because she knows now that she's going to have to open this door.
Alright, from what you can see, when he gets up top, it appears that someone had a set of dice. And they're already feeling bold enough to try that. Lise and Domitia, you guys are able to find a window. Lise is able to kind of just keep an eye out for a minute or two. Doesn't appear to be anyone patrolling around this area. You're far enough down that the guards up on the wall don't really seem to have a clear view of you, and you're able to slip out of the window unnoticed as far as you can tell.
Yeah, I was gonna slip out once we were both out, close it, have Domitia flip the lock with her mage hand or whatever, just to make it look undisturbed.
Okay, so Domitia does that, yeah? Relocks it?
Sure.
Alright. And you see at the South Gatehouse down here where Ada was supposed to be, you see a fairly large-looking soldier sitting there at the gate.
And my mic broke up again.
Yeah, I was just saying, you see a fairly Ada-sized soldier at the gate where you were expecting Ada to be.
Okay, so we know that everything's going as planned. And since they're looking out and not in, we can just go along the wall very slowly and just stick to the shadows to get around.
Yeah, you can kind of just stroll along the wall like you're supposed to be there, especially because one of you looks like you are supposed to be there, definitely.
Yeah, the Oracle and I could look like her apprentice or something, with looking like a wood elf currently, or sure, some type of servant.
All right, yeah, just roll me stealth checks again, just for being fairly nondescript, more so than out of sight completely.
21. I am playing it up as just the Oracle's.
24.
Alright, so you guys managed to make your way along the wall without really drawing any kind of attention. walk up to this soldier who is sitting at the gatehouse, and what does said soldier do?
I'm gonna look at them and just kind of like passing moment of confusion because I don't see Domitia.
Elise is just going to very quickly shift his eyes over towards the Oracle.
And then
And just
then
mouth the word
Domitia does the thing where she waves with each finger one at a time in a row.
Yeah, that convinces me. I open the door. As quietly and inconspicuously as I can, which might require a stealth check, and I'm miserable at those.
Well, you can just let us do it.
Yeah, I won't say it requires a stealth check. Like, you're not going to be able to hide the fact that the gate is opening from somebody, but like, you know, some people walked up to the gate and they needed to get out. That's not that unusual. The guard checks them, lets them out, whatever.
Yeah,
that's not a big deal.
Getting in is the problem, not getting out.
And Ada is able to also slip out, shut the gate behind her, and as far as you all are aware, you are out without having raised too much suspicion, at least.
Okay, Demisha is gonna go over to the cliffside, look down the ladder, and cast dancing lights around this area, and make a shape of an upwards arrow.
Okay. Is it like up in the air for the guards to be able to see, or?
No, it's down below the wall, but above the cliffside. It's in a position where just about anyone on this path should be able to spot it.
Okay. Kaze, where exactly is Alexander? I know that he has moved further down along the path. Has he gone completely back up to the town level?
Probably would have told him to regroup down, like, in the actual town area where he wouldn't draw suspicion milling about.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have sent him back to the tavern, but, you know.
Well, Lise would have actually recommended that they go to a different tavern, just in case people came questioning about the Dark Elf.
Alright.
Would we... is it safe to assume we would have had regroup plans for if things started getting hairy?
Oh yeah, Lise would have definitely made regroup plans.
Then whatever those plans would have been, Alexander would have followed them. Probably they would have decided to meet up at a tavern across the town from the one that they were originally at.
Yeah, so there's the one near the door, near the gate rather, like the entrance to the town, that kind of caters to travelers but is of lower quality. That's the one that you saw on the way in.
Let's go for that one.
That would draw the least attention.
Right.
Also, just to mention this, I go ahead and ditch the guard uniform ASAP and back into my clothes.
All right.
And
Throw it in the river.
Don't throw it in the river. I would just say you probably had like a place with the Oracle where she could collect it unnoticed once you were done.
Okay.
Yeah, you can leave it back in the same sack that you had your gear in.
Okay.
All
We'd be ashamed to waste Imperial armor.
So you make it back to the tavern. This one is pretty bustling. Again, not the same one that you have been staying at the last, just the last night, because you've only spent one night here thus far. Pretty bustling. It's after the supper crowds come in, but the drinking crowd is there. The travelers are there. People are awake. People are drinking. No one really notes any of you as you come in. I'm assuming Domitia looks like herself again.
Yeah, I'll change back to normal.
Yeah, Lise would have recommended that she drop the Oracle guys, because that would be kind of weird, the Oracle traveling with just a bunch of random citizens, random travelers. But Lise is keeping his wood elf disguise up for now.
So you guys regroup at the tavern. You come in, basically unnoticed. No one really pays you any particular mind. You're just another group of travelers making their way in late. Out of game. What time do we need to start wrapping things up tonight?
I don't have work tomorrow, so no particular time.
No particular time for me either.
I think we were mostly wrapping up for Caius.
Okay.
Well, we've hit a good stopping point. I'm good to keep going if you guys want to, but
Like,
Yeah,
I have no reason to stop.
We're at a point where we could call it for the night, or we could keep moving a little bit. Like, there will be other stopping points that we can do here coming up, so I'm not tired, and I still have some stuff prepped, so if you guys want to go for it.
Do we get any experience for rolling 20 dozen skill checks?
Yeah. Go ahead for sneaking in and sneaking back out. I'll say 200 XP for that.
really? That's not a lot.
We're about
You know-
halfway to our level, so
We're not gonna reach the level you want us to by the session 8 at this rate.
Yeah. Let's.
We'd be level 2 now.
I might honestly, if people don't really have an issue with that, I might do that because 200 XP for a level 1 party, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that is quite a bit. The kobold encounter wasn't all that tough because they all rolled like crap and on both attacks and damage, but that was a good bit of XP for a level 1 party, and I don't believe each of you got 200 for that one.
I think we got 170 or 150.
Yeah, something like that. It takes a while to level up, and if you guys don't have an issue with it, I might just, at the end of this session, just say, okay, you guys are level 2 now. You have enough XP for level 2, because that's the issue with a short campaign like this. It takes a long time to get out of low levels. So sure, call it 400 for now for the sneaking in and sneaking out, and then again we'll decide at the end of the session if we want to just go ahead and say we're just level 2, because I have no issues with that.
That puts us up at 870 of 1300.
Yeah.
Is that everyone or just the ones that were actually sneaking in?
Everybody.
Okay.
You were part of the plan, so
You successfully
we actually would've been
alerted
caught
the
without.
others.
Yeah, we would have been caught if you hadn't sent that warning shot, actually.
I opened the door real good, guys.
I mean, it was smart just, switching out with him, although I kind of feel bad for that Centurion who's going to get busted for leaving the gate unguarded now.
Ada feels bad too, but
I feel bad
He's
out of
not
character.
dead.
Lise doesn't at all.
yeah. Out of character, I don't care. In character, I do.
I mean, it is one thing to keep in mind. We do know that they're not, killing guards for incompetence.
Just
So-
lashing them.
Yet.
But,
Well, maybe things will change now that we've got them.
yeah, when we were traveling back, since we were staying in the script, I would have just whispered to them, mentioning that I managed to pinch his notebook, and but I can't read it, so we might need to go back to Yulos, and he might be able to have a better idea.
Also, as soon as I find out that they have said artifact, I'd like to do a detecting.
Okay.
Detect what?
And I'll,
Evil.
Detect
Real-
evil.
real quick. Alexander is going to ask, why they can't read the book.
I don't speak this language.
What is it?
It's Dwarven.
Oh, I do.
Oh, I did not know that, actually. Well, once we are settled in our accommodations out of eyesight, you can take a look at it for us.
Okay.
It might have
So-
information for Yulos.
So how much of looking over these things are you going to do in the tavern where you guys are now, and are you going to just spend the night here for now and then go back to your own lodgings tomorrow?
Well, I hadn't set up lodgings for the following. I was doing lodgings per night, so the
Right.
Hellhound isn't expecting us. So I was just gonna have us get if they had a great room for, well, not a great room like the one that we're in, but just a traveler room meant for 3 to 4 people, adventuring parties.
Yeah, I'm sure that they do at both of these establishments.
Yeah, and this one would probably be a bit cheaper to do, and just see if we can just get a standard
Honestly-
adventuring room.
Ada's in favor of leaving tonight.
Lisa's going to point out the fact that if they leave tonight, that's going to arouse more suspicion. because people are going to be asking about the Dark Elf and the Half-Orc.
What Dark Elf? What Half-Orc?
Well, I pass off rather well, though we didn't need to test the disguise. But that's a whole lot of woman to try to disguise.
Ada makes no comment whatsoever.
Lise is just... He says it in like the most plain kind of way, like not even looking at her sex. Just like, that's just a whole lot of woman.
Yep, Ada just like doesn't really react. And after about 5 seconds, just kind of nods.
It's probably like, you motherfucker. Well, I guess he's right.
I mean, he is a twig compared to her.
It is true. Ada is pretty big.
But yeah, it just... But we probably want to rest up for tomorrow because we are going to want to get out of town.
Where's our donkey?
I left the donkey back at the Hellhound, but I did leave instructions for him to be tended in case we were out all night drinking, or not drinking, but if we were out all night at like another place just gambling or whatever.
Alright.
Yeah, that wouldn't raise too many eyebrows. Like, it would be a little bit odd for someone just to leave their animal stabled overnight and then never come back, but
Yeah,
it's not that uncommon.
Yeah, I just mentioned that like we were gonna hit the town and we wouldn't be coming in till the wee hours of the morning, and if they could just like take care of our donkey and just feed him and stuff for us, we'd give him a couple extra.
Alright, good. Alright, then let's
Standard thing you do.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys are gonna be doing stuff with like the book and the stone, I don't think Demisha has the skill
You were
checks for
detecting
that.
evil the stone.
I detected evil, yeah.
Yeah. The stone does not register as evil itself.
Well,
Alright.
I was gonna say I need to use the restroom,
Okay, go for it.
so I will be
I'm
back
gonna
in a
get up
bit.
and get a drink.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be relevant or not, but just in case that someone does suspect them of having been involved, one thing that I forgot my own character's name, Alexander, is gonna like one thing he does on their way, like to that tavern in the first place, like while he was waiting for them and while they were walking back before they got to the town proper, was cleaning his pistol so it didn't look like it was fired that day.
Lise would also recommend once it's clean, just like hiding it in, just tucking it away so it wouldn't be immediately visible.
Yeah, he always says it's holstered, so.
Yeah, like holstered and just like drape his clothes over it to keep it inconspicuous.
Yeah.
You're more than likely not the only person in town carrying a firearm, but there aren't a huge number.
Yeah. So making it seem like it hadn't been fired in a while, just in case.
Well, I did mention to the guy that we did fight kobolds on the way in, which was the day prior, so he will expect it to have been fired within like the past day. So
Yeah.
as long as it looks like a day-old discharge,
Has been
it's
cleaned
fine.
since.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, not
honestly,
sure if it's going to be relevant, but just what he's doing.
Honestly, most people would keep their weapons pretty clean if they actually wanted to continue using them. So yeah, Alexander's able to like work on cleaning his pistol. You guys have the rock, the stone, you have the book. Upon examining the stone further, it does have an aura of conjuration magic that those of you who can detect magic can confirm. I'm just realizing Caius is probably the person in the party who had spellcraft and arcana trained.
Yeah, like that. I was kind of counting on him for those.
Yeah, so that's a little unfortunate, but we can make it work.
If we're assuming they're doing this at their lodging, we could probably just roll for him, couldn't we?
No, Caius is comatose, and Eostetia took him back home.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, since it seems like Tyler's going to be out for a little while, I did that to take his character out of the party for right now, and then
Oh, okay.
if he decides to come back in, we'll just find a reason or hand wave him back in and pretend like he was never gone. So yeah, he did. So the stone, as you like kind of examine a little bit more closely, it's this inky black, semi-translucent, almost gem-type stone, very smooth, basically kind of an oval shape. You stare into it, and it's kind of got like this shadowy type quality to the light within it. And the lights almost seem to be flickering and moving very slightly the longer you look at it. Carved into the face of it is an eye symbol matching the one that you all found on the back of your hands.
So who
Oh.
wants to sleep with the creepy stone tonight?
Well, I don't sleep.
You do enough to have nightmares.
That was one time. Let it
seems
go.
to be 2 times.
Let it go.
I'm worried about you.
I'm fine. Strictly speaking, you all need to sleep for 8 hours. I only need reverie for 4. So that's less of a period of time where it's unwatched. And during reverie, I'm still alert to my surroundings.
I'm back.
Hello.
All right, well,
And we
if you're
could
volunteering.
We could do a thing where someone, like,
You could take
sleeps in shifts, sleeps for 4 hours, gets up, lets him do his reverie, and then goes back to sleep for another 4.
Yeah, because Lise was just mentioning, like, because he planned on getting just a big room for all 4 of them, if they're all 4 in the same room, someone will wake up if something happens.
What are we doing? What did I miss?
Figuring out who stays up with the
In the
creepy
stone.
rock.
Yeah, the rock has a symbol that matches the one that was on the back of our hands.
And just, we were, like, prepping to do, like, shifts and stuff just in case, like, something happens with the stone so we can keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Lise is going to, once they're done examining it, wrap it back up in, the cloth that he was carrying it in. Because he doesn't know what's going on with it, but the feeling of being watched, he feels a little bit safer just wrapping it up, like, blindfolding it.
Put it in a bag or something.
Yeah, like, he wrapped it up and then he put it in, like, a separate pouch that he doesn't put anything else in.
What'd the book say?
We haven't gotten to the book yet.
So, Alexander does speak Dwarven, is able to read the book. I assume that he's just going to go ahead and start flipping through it, looking for anything relevant.
Yeah.
you
I
happen
would
to-
recommend doing this in our room, though, just to... Because
Yeah.
the book might have the Legion Commander's symbol on it.
I'm assuming that all of this is happening in y'all's like room in
Yeah,
some
like
degree of privacy.
We had gotten food and drinks and just taken them up with us if they allowed us.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does our room have a window?
It does.
Lise
Okay.
is making sure it's pulled tightly shut, closed proper, like blinded properly, and latched.
Ada would like to pull from her supplies. She has a bell net, which we can throw either over the window or the door, so if somebody tries to sneak in, we should hear them.
Well, with him just locking it, if they try to open it, it'll rattle.
So do you want to put it on the door? Or do
I mean,
you...
if put the net on the window, and then whoever's staying up to guard, probably just pull a chair up in front of the door, like literally touching it.
That makes sense.
Alright, we'll do that.
Because you can retrieve it once you put it down, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's literally just like a net with bells attached to it.
Speaking of that, I lost my rope, so I'm going to have to replace that. Because we didn't retrieve it because we didn't want to risk the guy catching us.
You can see if it's still there tomorrow.
Yeah, but I was actually going to see if, when we were leaving, would Demisha have been able to just, like, mage hand it to just, like, destroy the evidence? Or to just, like, untie it and then pull it free?
Probably not without going like basically over almost close enough that you could just go over there and untie it yourself.
Okay, so we'll just have to check back tomorrow.
All right. So you guys are in your room. You have the creepy rock covered again. You're looking through. Alexander's looking through the book. It appears to be a book of legends, tales about heroes, about the gods. And one of them is about one of the dwarven gods in particular. I didn't have a name for this character yet, but this god apparently is the deity of sleep, of dreams, of boundaries between one thing and another, of watchfulness, that type of thing. And apparently, according to this legend, he found the road. It calls it a road through which dreams come into people's minds as they sleep, and it was the first one to be able to follow that road back to where the dreams come from, and tracked down some sort of creature within that realm. The book is not particularly clear, and traded his own left eye for the ability to have some limited degree of foresight and past knowledge. And in place of the eye socket, he received a smooth black stone through which he could see flashes of the future and of the past. And you see, becoming rather familiar now, the same symbol drawn in the book as one of the signs of this dwarven deity.
So, okay. Yeah,
Is
he's going to
Alexander
relate.
relating this to us?
Absolutely, because holy shit.
We have a god's eye.
So based on the strength of the magic aura you saw, if it was a deity level artifact, it would have had a far, far stronger aura. It is possible that this is something that was made in the image of that type of item, though. It's possible that it's in some way lost some degree of power, but still functions on some level. But yeah, it does seem to at least be related, if not, the full power thing that literally got plucked out of a god's eye socket.
We know it has some relation to the legend, but seeing as how we're not experts in lore, our best bet is, unfortunately, the dwarves.
Tis. And as the Oracle mentioned to you all earlier tonight, when the legate went over and found this thing, he recruited apparently a guide from the dwarven tribe located just across the river. So it is possible that they also have a better idea of where exactly he went and found this thing.
Yeah, we could poke around.
Has Lise told everyone that he's getting the feeling being watched? Possibly.
Oh, Lise told people that as soon as he touched it, he felt like he was being watched, and that's why he was covering it up.
Fun fact, that feeling kind of faded out as you left the manor, and it hasn't come back yet, even when you were looking at the stone again.
Okay, but he's still, rewrapping. It's just like, when I was near the legate in particular with the stone, I felt eyes upon me.
That's
Alright.
concerning.
It's diminished now, but I don't know the origin. All I know is that they're looking for a wood elf.
That may mean that this is a counterfeit of the artifact that he's made to try to protect it, or it could mean that he had something in there watching the room. So the second that was touched, it has an image of who took it.
Yes, and I'm assuming that the feeling went away before I reunited with them.
Yes.
Okay, so it is expecting a wood elf and the oracle. It's not expecting us.
Fair enough.
There's a reason why we use disguises. You don't ever go in with your true face. Speaking of that, does it have any money hidden in there or any notation of where he keeps his wealth?
Unfortunately not. The book itself seems to be rather old. it's doesn't really have much in the way of like personal markings in it. It doesn't seem like the kind of book that someone would like write in. By the way, I've got 300 gold pieces hidden in this place in my room. But yeah, you don't see anything like that.
So we know a general idea of the kind of stuff we're working with right now. Which just made this a lot weirder.
From the way the Oracle was talking, the item, she strongly believed that it was some sort of like gateway type thing, some sort of key, opening up the means for all this stuff to be happening. So you have it now. It still seems to be doing its thing, but you've got it.
Now
Well,
we just...
The reason I mention that is because, like, Eulos wanted us to find, like, the source. If we let him know that, like, we found the source, but we don't know what it's stemming from, that might give him, like... And it lets him know that, yes, the Legate of the 14th is actually, like, comatose. They need to send someone over.
Yeah, you can definitely send word back.
I feel like Ada delivering that news would go over better than just a dark elf.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, Eulis didn't seem to be bothered at all by Lisa's appearance, but Ada is his granddaughter, so...
Lisa's actually gonna look at Ada. When she was eyeing, like, his tribal tattoo, did he pick up on her doing that?
Probably.
they're
She's not a
traveling.
very subtle person.
He's just going to just say it outright and like, so I see you were looking at my marking. And he gestures towards the covered up tattoo.
Well, it was interesting.
I just found it odd that you would take an interest in it, is all. Given that your grandfather is a gentlemanly sort, not the type to have one of these.
Well, my grandfather may be a noble, but my father was an orc gladiator in the capital.
Interesting.
Born a slave, but got good enough at what he was doing that eventually won enough fame and reputation to purchase his own freedom and happened to catch the eye of an elven noblewoman in the process.
Lise just flinches at the word slave, and he covers up his hand that, he puts a hand over the hand that doesn't have the eye symbol on it, because that's where his slave mark is.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just memories. I'm actually gonna roll a bluff check because he's trying to pass it off as being okay, but just the mention of the word slave unsettled him a bit. 17.
My sense motive there was an 18.
So yes, you would pick up that he is indeed hiding something, and he's uncomfortable.
Alright.
I'm trying to figure out how Ada would react to that. She's just gonna kind of nod a little bit and say, fine then, keep your secrets.
There are some secrets better left unspoken.
I understand. But I'm not going to use them against you.
He just looks at her and just like, I don't care for the S word.
Well, it was what it was, and it's never really bothered me, but I'll avoid it then.
Now, back to the matter at hand. We've got our plan. Now, do we want to double back and speak with your grandfather about this and give him an appraisal of the situation so he can send over some troops? Because, as we can see, the elf, who was rather hostile to us, is apparently the one calling all the shots currently.
Yeah, that would probably be the best idea. So, all in favor of moving out back to Caesium in the morning, say aye.
We can also we can also inform him that he was having dealings with the dwarves, and he went out on an expedition without apparently alerting anyone, which is further something to cast further scrutiny on him and his entire legion.
Yes, and even if my grandfather doesn't know what to do about it, I'm sure that Legate Lycaea will have something to say about it.
Yes, she did ask that we share any information we have, and I would say that this counts as information.
Most certainly.
All right, so we're agreed. We're heading back to Caesium.
He's actually going to point out the fact that it might wind up that she winds up taking over the 14th temporarily until they can fix this over, because she's the closest outpost, the
That
closest
wouldn't
legion.
be a bad option whatsoever. She's very capable.
Yes, if we can. Plus, she might be willing to look past the fact that I had to steal these in order to get the information we needed.
She should.
Doesn't need to know the details of how we found out.
No, she doesn't, but at the same time, she's going to be like, okay, but how did you manage to meet with him and get, those items from him?
I'll handle that part.
Yes, I'm not fond of the woman myself. She's a bit too strict for my liking.
She's always been like that.
Chances are, heading back to Caesium, you're not going to see her in person. Likely, it's just going to be a letter forwarded to her, unless you guys want to make another dogleg to go out and find her. She was heading back to her main forts, which are down to the south, and then gonna be checking up on things along the 14th's line, their area of operations.
How long would it take to take the trek down to her Legion fortress?
Probably several days. They're spaced out pretty wide.
So we could logically go to Caesium, report, and then just double back and just meet her halfway. Since she was going to take her time to set up her legion and everything, we could just set up and prepare to catch up with her.
You could do that, yes.
Sounds like a good plan.
Because it'll draw less attention, plus we can deal with our little kobold friend in the meantime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you guys want to go into that side quest, you can. They really don't. Yeah, the kobolds themselves really don't have any information about what's going on. But yeah, Kobold Buddy is out there. If you guys want to go talk to him again.
There's without Caius, there's really no point to it since he was the one interested in making the deal. But we can at least keep an eye out to make sure he's not up to his antics again.
Yes.
We'll just scout out and make sure that they're not attacking the roads, and then we can meet up with the legate once we've delivered our report.
Seems like a good idea to me.
Because
So
if
we'll
your
go to
grandfather
Caesium
gives
in the
us an
morning.
official note, we're more likely to have her take what we say as fact and truth than some fabrication, even if we do have the evidence with us.
All right, so we're agreed on this course of action then.
Yep.
All right, so
All I'm going to say is for his normal night routine, and then in the morning, of course, he's gonna slip out as the wood elf, find an area to hide and undisguise, and then come back out as the dark elf, and he's gonna split off from them as the wood elf. That way he doesn't draw attention to him, because people know to look for a dark elf with a half orc.
Okay, give me another
He's just
will
covering his
save.
tracks.
Yeah, give me another will save just for overnight.
Everybody?
Everybody. Unless you,
will save.
unless
I
you,
did it again!
Another 8. That's 2 in a row.
well,
Why is it the person who doesn't sleep?
17.
okay. Well, Lise also again bad luck. Gosh, hang on.
Poor Lise is gonna wind up being you know what? I'm not going into reverie.
Okay. Lise again has nightmares. This time, nightmares of sinking. Again, you're in dark water. You're sinking down. You can't tell where the surface is. You can feel the water beginning to pour into your lungs as you descend down into the depths. And once again, wake up not the best rested that you could be, because yeah.
That's 3 nights in a row now.
Yeah, actually. And everyone else passes the night pretty much uneventfully again.
Okay, so while they're sleeping, because he's gonna wake up before them, obviously, he's just going to go ahead and just look around the room, do his usual thing, detect magic, make sure there's nothing spying on him in the room.
All right, perception.
Okay. 20. Not a nat, though.
Yeah. Okay, so Lise, again, checks the room out, doesn't see anything, doesn't appear that anyone has been inside. The only magical aura that you find is... excuse me. The only magical aura that you find is still the eye that, the stone that you picked up earlier. It's still just conjuration magic. Looking out the window past the net that Ada put up, you see what almost looks like a dark shape that kind of flits across the window. But looking outside, going to the window and looking out, you don't see anything further. You don't know if it was actually something over there, since this is on an upper story and it's not exactly like there could be a person walking by, or if it's just paranoia setting in at this point.
Lisa's still going to file away this information because they did just sneak in and take something. He wants to be on high alert. And he's just gonna check on the others, not waking them or anything, just making sure they're okay. Just staring at Ida for a little bit, walking over to Domitia and just staring at her with a glare. So when she wakes up, he's just gonna be glaring down at her.
All right.
That's not suspicious on its own.
Yeah, the rest of you wake up well rested and thinking this whole nightmare thing is vastly overblown.
And Lisa's just staring into Domitia's eyes, just glaring at her.
Domitia wakes up, sees Lise, and is like, "Good morning."
Morning.
Good, it's subjective.
He just looks over to Alexander, walks over, and shoves the pouch into his hand. You can hold this.
Alright. Shrug.
He's not even attempting to hide how something is wrong. He can't even hide it. He's worn down. You can tell he has not slept well in the past 3 nights.
So, I'll go get Cranky in the cart, and if you want to ride on the cart today, Lise, I think that would be a good idea. Keep a watch on the rear and everything.
Maybe.
Speaking of keeping a watch, I did see a shadow passing by the window last night. It might have been nothing, but it's still worth keeping an eye out.
Alright. I'm gonna go get the cart.
Alright, so Ada is able to retrieve Cranky in their cart with no problems. The halfling bartender kind of, gives her a chuckle, had a good night last night, I see.
Lise, of course, just appears to change out, like I said before. And then he's going to join up with Ada.
Yeah, you're able to do that pretty easily. You recover the cart. You are able to get on the road. As Ada is leaving the tavern, and Lise, if Lise is up with Ada at the tavern, there is a soldier that kind of makes his way past them, doesn't really pay them any mind. He addresses the bartender, says, "Morning, just want to let you know we've got a possible deserter from the Legion Fort. We've telling some folks to be on the lookout in case you see anybody look suspicious." And the bartender's like, "All right, yeah, I'll keep an eye out. I'll let you know if I see anything." And the soldier just nods we don't have a description exactly. We're still doing some head counts to see who it might be, and then excuses himself, carries on his way. Didn't really seem to pay you guys any mind at all.
At least would have while they were there. He would have just seen if like the bartender had anything warm and hot they could just like take on the road, just like some travel food.
Yeah, sure. They've got there's this new drink that has just made its way up from some of the farther frontiers of the empire. It's made of this like bean that's ground up and boiled in hot water. It's really, really bitter, but it's good at getting you going in the morning. It's this really like kind of dark, bitter tasting drink, but he'll give you a few cups of that if you want.
Lisa's definitely gonna take one because he needs it right now.
I will also take the coffee.
Yeah, like I knew that's what it was, but he wasn't calling it that. It's just hot bean juice.
Give me that hot bean juice.
Xander wants some of the hot bean juice.
But yeah, he was actually asking for like if they had any like leftover from breakfast that they could just
Oh yeah, breakfast
wrap up
still
and
hasn't
take.
really gotten going good. So like if you guys want some food as well to wrap up for the road, like that's easily done.
Yeah, just some quick travel stuff that they can wrap up and just eat on the road on the cart and stuff. Better than just breaking out like the rations. A nice warm meal.
Yeah. All right. So without too much further ado, you guys are back on the road to Caesium. From past experience, this trip takes most of a day, so it'll probably be afternoon before you guys are there.
Ada's gonna not so subtly suggest that Lise sleep.
Lise is actually going to like get up near the back of the cart where he's secure and just go into reverie because he needs to get a little bit of rest.
Ada's also going to tell Demisha not to bother him.
Yeah. Alexander stays somewhat close by the back also to actually keep watch while he's in reverie. And once they're outside of town, he loads his pistol and keeps it half-cocked.
Okay. So yeah, you guys get back on the road. Excuse me. Lisa's able to actually go into reverie. I'm not going to make you roll for nightmares again. You're actually able to get a little bit of rest this time. When you pass where you were ambushed by kobolds before, you find the cart is still off the road. It doesn't seem like that's been moved since you all left. The bodies are gone, but I don't see any other sign of activity around the area. Late afternoon, you manage to make it back into Caesium, and very quickly pop in. No real change with Caius yet. He's still just kind of looks to be fast asleep. Justitia says he's been like this since he left, just has not woken up. And you all are able to go and speak with General Eulos.
Alright, we go.
Yeah.
I go, at least.
Lise is going because Alexander has to come because he has the stone and is able to read the book, but Lise is just coming along because he doesn't feel quite right being alone right now. He's nervous. He's visibly nervous.
Alright. So you guys arrive, you're let in. It's a little bit odd that you guys are back again so soon. But again, you're let in, you're welcomed again. Eulos asked, so I guess you found something. And then I assume you proceed to fill him in on what you know of the legate's actions, what you saw of the Legion's behavior, and then the items that you found.
I'm actually going to just since I had told Ada, I'm going to let her explain that that we were able to find out more about him and that he's not actually in control currently, however she wants to word it.
Yeah, Ada will do most of the talking, and she's not really gonna lie. She's just gonna tell him what happened.
Lise is going to just whenever she goes to divulge too much of the truth, because he did break into an Imperial castrum.
Oh, it was kind of on orders, wasn't it, technically?
Yeah.
It's a middle ground. He's just but when she mentions that they snuck in and stuff, he's going to mention that I did not take anything. Except for these items to show you.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be like, he's not the suspicious type. He's not you broke in, did you steal all his money, that kind of thing. Like, no, like you told him that you broke in to try to figure out what's going on. He's going to take you at your word for that.
We're
He
mentioning the
seems
elf,
very,
the smarmy elf.
yeah. He seems very concerned by all of this, especially the attitude of that tribune. Kind of like shakes his head, like, oh, gosh, like I knew I kind of like was leaving things to the Legion commanders probably more than I should have, but I didn't realize I'd let things get quite this bad. And just like kind of muttering half to himself, like I should have listened to Kaya earlier, like I should have. But shakes himself, kind of puts his smile back on a little bit, like thank you very much for all that you've done. I am not sure which way we need to go with this. You said that he seemed to get this from the dwarves across the river. Perhaps they would have some better idea. This seems to be something that stems off of a dwarven legend. Perhaps they would have some better idea of, what should be done about this, what's happening. I'm afraid this is far out of my depth, but I do thank you for letting me know. I will have Messenger send word to Lakaya immediately. I will tell her to assume command of the 14th, and we'll get this in order as quickly as we can. And he kind of like stops himself and like sighs a little bit, and and I need to make a report to the governor of the province as well. He's going to want to know about this.
I'm also going to mention how like the roads were actually being unguarded, and how we found like the kobolds attacking that one shipment towards the castrum, and that might be all the roads that are currently being sieged like this.
Well, I'm sure with one of my legions out of commission, there was plenty of opportunities for less savory folks to start getting established. So I'll also pass word along. See if we can start getting the roads secure. And
we do have some information about the kobolds, and if you'd like, we could try to get more information on them to see if we can stop this before it becomes too severe. It's on our way.
I don't think the kobolds are necessarily much of a threat, especially once the patrols of soldiers get back out. If they see Imperial soldiers on the roads, they will scatter rather than trying to fight. Their bravery is not a known kobold trait.
I'm more concerned about their big boss, whatever they might be, but you know better than me in matters of the military.
Ada just kind of chuckles.
Lise is being completely sincere at this. He's not bluffing. He's just flat out saying, like, he doesn't know military. This is probably the first time you've seen him be this sincere.
Yeah, Ada's not laughing at Lise. Ada is laughing at Lisa's assumption that her grandfather is better at it than he is.
Well, he just cast a look at her like, what?
Nothing.
Alright, so, you just kind of asked if there's anything else that you want to add, and if there's nothing else that you want to bring up, he says, well, again, thank you so much for your assistance. I have work to do. And he kind of gets the most determined look on his face that you've seen him have thus far. And, he starts setting about, like, pulling out some papers, starting to, like, write orders, starting to get things moving.
I will bring up the fact that I didn't much appreciate the elf referring to me as, like, a filthy dark elf and a half-orc woman, and motion towards Ada.
Said
A
mongrel.
mongrel. Yeah, a half-elf, a half-orc mongrel, and I'm just like, you might want to do something about his attitude before it puts him in the wrong situation with the wrong person.
Yeah, he shakes his head. It's like, unfortunately, many of my kind are a tad judgmental, you might say. But
Least under his breath, without even meaning to, just says, "Oh, I know I know far too well." And then he kind of realizes what he said and just brushes it off with a hand wave.
I think, unfortunately, that's not necessarily a crime, but I think he said enough that I might be able to put some pressure on him, at least get him removed from his post for that kind of thing, for the insubordination, if nothing else.
I mean, he was calling the shots with that Legion, from what we can gather, so anything that they weren't doing falls on his head.
Yeah, that is true. All right, and is there anything else you want to do here before we move along? And if we are moving along, where are we heading?
I would like to ask Eulos what he wants us to do. Basically, does he want us to follow up with the kobolds? Does he want us to stay out of it? Does he want us to go see the dwarves?
He seems to think like, you guys are pretty deep involved in this. Like, he has no one better to send, honestly. Like, you've shown that you were able to get this far. Based on what he had said earlier, yeah, like, pushing on, like, trying to see the dwarves, they are probably your best bet for someone who would actually have a little bit better idea of what this thing is and what's happening with it.
Shouldn't we bring the book and the stone?
Yeah. More than likely.
Can we get a, like, some kind of letter from you that would put us maybe on better terms with the dwarves when we meet them?
I can see what I can do. And again, just very, very quickly, like a very similar thing to what he wrote out last time. Like, you're on official Imperial business, puts his own seal on it, etc.
I would also like to request a small lockbox for our rock.
Yeah, that's going to be fairly easy to come by as well, so.
Lease was actually going to see if he can look into getting, like, a counterfeit made of it. Not like an exact replica, but just if he can get, like, a general idea of it, just to, like, show people.
Actually, what we should probably do is we should get a counterfeit rock and put it in the lockbox instead.
Yeah, they're more likely to go after the lockbox thinking it's something valuable than just a random pouch on a person.
Just literally put a rock in it.
I mean, it makes
bluff.
sense.
Just put a note in there that says, haha, we got you.
No,
No note.
Just a note that says, I owe you.
no, Lease was thinking just get, like, about the same size rock, like, try to find one that's dark black like that, or paint it over real nice, like, etch the symbol into it, and just enough to make it passable as, like, a conceivable fake.
Let's just get a hook up obsidian.
Yeah, you can find a fairly
Obsidian
dark
is
rock.
expensive.
Yeah. Anything that's going to look like really, really close is going to be something like obsidian or something like a gemstone. That's going to be very expensive to try to get your hands on. But you're able to find like a fairly large dark color rock. You can like dip it in some black paint or something and, just kind of etch a somewhat crude looking symbol on it.
If only we had
Relatively
Mr.
easily.
Craft Trinket right now.
If only.
I'm sorry, I'm just amused at how useful that would actually turn out to be right now.
I know, right?
I mean, we could check in with Eostitia and see if he can do the work for us.
I don't think
Would
he necessarily
engineering
has that.
help at all here?
Not exactly, because engineering is like which of these supports are load bearing, and is this bridge in good enough repair that we can drive a cart over it? It's not necessarily just carving a rock.
Yeah, we could probably just go to like a craftsman and just have them like shine us up a nice rock and just say that we wanted to use it for something.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
For, like,
bat
a
too much
stage-
of an eye.
For like a stage prop or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would actually work. We just want to make like a prop because we're traveling performers or something.
Yeah, you're able to get that done pretty easily. Like no real issues there.
And as for etching the symbol, which I'm sure we'll want to do in private, that is probably something Alexander could do, considering he's a gunsmith. Etching, like, into surfaces is a pretty common practice.
Yeah, I would say you probably have the tools to do that, and it might not look super pretty, but it'll be a pretty close replica of the symbol there.
It's a
Passable
convincing
enough.
enough fake for our purposes and our price range.
Yeah,
The price range being basically free.
basically.
Lise is just over here. He's amused that he managed to convince someone like Ada to go along with a plan like they had last night. He's just smiling at her.
Are you happy?
I am. I'm leading you more towards my way of life every day.
Prepare for her to be like, no!
A little bit of chaos never hurt anyone.
Well, the law wasn't being carried out, so whatever means we would have to go through to get the law restored again are just fine.
Lise actually just stares at her and just snaps his fingers like, damn, you got me. Legally, she's sticking to her alignment, like, out of character. She's sticking to her alignment. He can't really find fault with that. It's like, you are treading a fine line with your semantics.
Yeah, I mean, chaotic act toward a lawful goal, like, that's not out of character for a lawful character, you know? Doesn't mean you
Or
have to,
chaotic
every
for
single thing
one.
you do has to be lawful. Or for chaotic, yeah.
I mean, like, she's technically obeyed the law, still she did nothing illegal. Besides maybe impersonating a
I
soldier.
opened a door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
impersonating a soldier. Gray area at best, but still.
Speaking of alignment, I had a question about the Pathfinder universe.
Sure.
Why does alignment exist in it? Is it like an actual energy in the universe, like in D&D?
Pretty much, yes. Like, alignment is like, it's like in like 3.5 and earlier editions, like it is a cosmic force. I know 5th edition very much like dialed back alignment. You could basically drop it out of the game without really affecting anything. There are some alignment-based mechanics, like there are spells that affect characters of different alignments differently. Detect evil and detect, like, insert other alignment here being the most obvious ones, but, you know, there are damage spells that, you know, say do a bunch of damage to an evil character, a little bit to a neutral one, none to a good one, or vice versa. And like the plane that you go to in the afterlife is determined by your alignment. Yeah, it's basically the same as in pre 5th edition D&D.
Okay.
Excuse me. All right. So next step is to go see the dwarves? Question mark.
No, level up.
Level up. So out of character, do you all have an issue with me just kind of like saying, all right, you guys are able to level up at the end of this session? Because otherwise we are really not going to be able to
No issue at
get very much.
Nah, like,
Okay.
we're the way I look at it is we're trying to have fun. Leveling is fun.
Okay. Yeah, I know when I talked with you guys initially, like, at least some of y'all were in favor of XP, but again, it takes a while to get out of first level, especially not just tossing a whole bunch of combat encounters at you. Each one has the possibility of leaving you all badly wounded and having to, like, sit out for several days, since you all don't really have, like, a magical healer with you right now.
I like using XP in my games, but if I want the characters to level faster, I'll just give them more XP.
Yeah. And I have been trying to do that, but again, like, either I just tell you guys to level up, or I give you guys a ridiculous amount of XP for your level, which amounts to about the same thing. So
You guys successfully cooked a steak, have 1,000 XP.
basically,
It's like,
A little
well,
less than a third of a level just breaking into the fortress and stealing that stuff.
yeah. All right. So we'll probably end leveling up then. So when we're ready to, like, call it a night, we'll go ahead and we'll just say, all right, you guys hit 1,300 XP. You're level 2 now. So that way we are, we're not taking in game time to level up, unless you all want to do that, since some of you guys are new to Pathfinder. Would you rather, like?
yeah, I think walking through the level up at least the first time would be a good idea.
We could set that. We could do that like before the session starts or after it ends.
Right. Yeah. That's. Yeah.
I mean, if you guys are fine with staying up a little bit longer, we could call the session here and then work on leveling.
I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm cool with that if y'all want to. So, you guys get exactly enough XP to hit 1300. You are level 2. Congratulations, hooray.
Okay, so is it okay if I
Hooray!
end the stream
I
now?
can heal now.
Yeah, what are you starting to say?
Is it okay if I end the stream now?
Yeah,
Go
that's
for it.
fine.
Alright, good night everybody.
Oh,
Night.